Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hivemind Recap Podcast. Sep 20. What the fuck did
Sep
I
20?
Sep 20, let's go!
This guy just invented a new month, bro. What the fuck?
I'm stroking 10 seconds into the episode. Dear God.
You're doing what 10 seconds into the episode?
Having a stroke like you. September 2022. In the books. Hello, Justin, Derek, and Jacob. How are you doing this afternoon?
I have a really bad headache right now.
I'm doing very well, thank you.
You just said you were hungover, you liar.
I can't believe he exposed him like that. That's crazy. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing this at
You know
like 2
what?
p.m. in the afternoon. So I woke up like an hour ago. So
You know what? You're hungover, but you sound great, Jacob.
Thank you.
I woke up at like 7 a.m. and then 8:45 after going to bed at 1:30. So
oh, jeez. Yeah, I went to bed at 5, so.
So yeah, this is like, I think this is our first time ever recording like mid-afternoon.
For
a main episode anyway.
main
Yeah,
episode, yeah.
we've done 2 p.m.
After
recordings for a
hours.
couple
Yeah.
of
After hours, but for a main episode. So if this one's a little different, it's probably because we're not off the goop at 9 p.m.
Facts. Off the goop?
I don't know.
Wait.
That's an episode title if I've ever heard it.
I like how Derek said facts. And then he's
Bro,
like,
well,
wait.
because it sounded right. Like, I'm like, yeah, we're off the goop. And then I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Jake,
I'm out of
what
it.
on
I'm out of
God's
it
green
tonight.
earth does off the goop mean? I gotta
Just
know.
out, it's a phrase for being like when you're out of it, off the goop.
I'm off the goop. That's phenomenal. You know, next time we do one of the Pokemon things, that's 10 characters. I'm naming my starter off the goop.
That's my rival's name.
That's
honestly.
good. Yeah.
I looked up Off the Goop, and there's a I think rap artist called Young Gravy and B
Yes.
No Dollar.
Yo, I'm going to see them in November.
You're gonna go see Young Gravy?
And Baby No Money, yes.
Damn. Yo, people tell me all the time I look like Young Gravy. And some people tell me I sound like him, and I don't see it, but I've gotten it like 10 times. And it's kind of, I'm over it. It's kind of like when
How-
somebody tells you you look like your parents, you know? It's like, oh yeah, really? Wow. Like,
Imagine how many times have been like, ha, Jake from State Farm, haha.
yeah.
And then I
Justin from
I've
State
had
Farm.
multiple people ask me, "How did you ever dress up as Jake from State Farm for Halloween?" Yes, of course I did. I was forced to be a little child.
It's not my first name to use. It's my last name, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, I got you. Jacob, what
Yeah.
about you, brother?
I don't know. What are
Damn.
we talking about?
We
I
just
don't
make fun
know
of
either.
him being Canadian.
No, yeah, exactly. Jake, I want to circle back here. What do you mean you were like forced to dress up as Jake from State Farm as a kid? Hasn't Jake from State Farm only been around for like 5-6 years?
No, he's
No,
been
Jake from
here
State Farm was
longer.
definitely around in at least 2012.
What the fuck, bro? My concept of time is so messed up.
Yeah.
I feel like I was like actively aware of myself and had memories when Jake from State Farm first pulled up. And now it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't have expected that when I was like 11. I was 11 in 2012. Ooh. Anyway.
This is a music podcast, by the way.
Yeah, sorry,
If
I'm
you're
busy. I'm
new
having an
here-
existential crisis right now. So if
If
we
you're
could
new
just...
here, we talk about our favorite releases of the month, starting with singles, and we'll talk about EPs and albums at the end. We're talking about less singles than usual because we're kind of sick of doing 3.5-hour long
Are we?
episodes.
Are we? I don't think we're talking about singles and
Two
issues.
less.
Two less
What we
because
normally do.
It came
because
out to
Justin
two
is
less?
unhinged. Because Justin is unhinged.
Bro, wait,
What?
listen, how many did you put in here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
I put
5,
it-
6,
I
7,
can't complain. I put it
8, 9. Justin, you put in 9.
Yeah, and Jake has added more in previous podcasts. I was a little. September 30th decided to be unhinged. Not me.
I disagree. But anyway, if you want to keep up
Oh,
to date with this
man.
podcast, you can follow us on social media at HiveMindRadio_ on Instagram and Twitter. Follow us on Spotify, HiveMind Radio Recap. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can also tune into these episodes live at the beginning of each month. We're live on YouTube right now as we're recording this. Although, if you're listening to this on Spotify or the edited episode after the fact, no, we're not live as you're listening to this.
Also, we're approaching 100 subs on YouTube.
Yes.
So go subscribe.
Yeah,
I
he
said
said that.
But just to reinforce
Yeah,
it,
we
help us
need
hit
to say it
100.
again.
We hit
Jacob's
100
living-
we hit 100 followers on Instagram this year. Now to get 100 subscribers on YouTube.
We got
Nice.
Okay? Please.
Man.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I also, on the podcast, now that Jake has done his shilling, I would like to personally thank everyone for rooting for Team Justin and Jake for the Pokemon playthrough.
Man, did we lose? Is that how that goes? If we
Yeah,
lose the
we
final
did.
one, we lose.
We
Here's
That's-
the
those are some
thing: we won the
balls,
final
bro.
fight with a 3% Chandelure,
Yeah.
but you guys have won the most like actual matches, and we also had the most dead Pokemon. So
Yeah, I think we
think
won.
it's
What?
fine.
6-2?
if we're counting the 2 that I lost in the final cage match, I had a complete dead box. I had an overflowing dead box.
I think it's a tie,
It was bad.
and I'll accept
Yeah, I'm
that.
down to leave it at a tie.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, go check out Justin and Jake's Twitter.
Facts.
Yeah.
There
This-
is
that
some
was really that. It was one
That was
big
our
ploy to
September.
get it more. It really was actually. Now that I think about it,
To get social media interactions, Twitter likes.
Let's
it
go.
was one big ploy to get more followers on Twitter. Not even on the Hivemind one either. He's like, yeah, go check out Jake and Justin's Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
Do appreciate that. Thank you.
if you want the losers Twitter, aka the Tide Twitter, go check out me and Jacob.
We should talk about music. What do you say?
We
Let's
should.
do it.
Polyphia have released a new single off their upcoming album called ABC, featuring Sophia Black.
Someone call a paramedic. I can't speak, it's all phonetic. Made me forget every word last night. That's a lot of letters.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is my favorite song of the month.
Wow, we're already there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we're there on track 1, and it's all downhill from here.
Okay, I've come to the conclusion that I do not really like instrumental music. Like, this song has like proven it, and we're gonna talk about this later. But I think like this sounds like poppy almost.
What, like
And-
poppy, like
like-
the genre,
Yeah,
or poppy like the artist?
The artist.
Oh, okay.
Both, I guess, actually. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I can't say
It's-
I've heard anything else particularly like this year, maybe ever, other than Poppy. Poppy's like the closest comparison I think you can make, and even then, this is still
Mhm.
very far off, I think.
I think for me, it's really interesting because, I mean, it's no secret, I really, really like Polyphia. And I'm fine with the instrumentation because I feel like Polyphia's melodies and like the way that the instrument sounds often come across like vocals would, but then you take the vocals and put them on top to match that same melody, and so it really is, it's unlike anything I've really ever heard, because the vocal melody should not be able to match a lot of the instrumental melody. Like when she runs through the alphabet at the end of the chorus, like
Yeah.
if you listen to the
It's
instruments behind
nuts.
it, like it's driving it forward. It's crazy. But the way that the instruments and vocals work together on the start of the chorus, where it's someone call a paramedic, is like easily probably my favorite vocal delivery of the year. Like just the way that it sounds, I love it. I love this song. It's so
That's
easily
also my favorite
replayable.
part of the song. The delivery in Paramedic is so good. This is my
Yeah.
favorite Polyphia song for this album cycle, maybe ever. I haven't heard too much of their older stuff, so
All it took was vocals for everyone like Polyphia.
Actually, like all the Polyphia songs I like are like with vocals, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still
I-
like Playing God in Neurotica, but this is definitely betterer. And I think the vocals add a lot to it. And specifically the Sophia Black feature. I think very carefully selected feature on this song.
Yeah. I'd never heard of her before this, but she absolutely killed it.
Yep.
I think Polyphia being is like, I don't want to say like famous, but like for an instrumental band, they are really popular.
Mhm.
Especially this album cycle, and this song in particular is already like on pace to outdo Neurotica in terms of streaming numbers and like everything. And I think that if this band permanently added like not even that they need to add a vocalist, but if they added something like, or if they did it like a full album full of vocal features, you know how fucking big this band would be?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, it would be ridiculous. I want to see them do that. I want to see Issues do that now that Tyler Carter's gone. Like, all these really talented instrumental bands, I kind of, as much as I do enjoy the instrumental music, I want a full album full of just different features
Even
from
if
the
it's just
scene
a
outside the
one-off.
scene.
that would be
Yeah.
so cool, actually.
Yeah. Because this, I think this and So Strange featuring Kuko from their 2018 album are like two really, really good examples of how well they can make that work. And I think a lot of similar bands have done it. A band called Skyhaven had a couple vocal features on a similar album a couple years back, and it was really, really good. So anyway, this, I think with being at 2.5 minutes is so easily replayable. It's so catchy. I love it. I'm really, really excited for this album. New Levels, New Devils, 2018 album was really good, but I think that this is about to blow that out of the water. They're 4 for 4 on singles for me. And I'm really, really excited. Thing comes out next month, right? The album? Pretty
You're
sure.
asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Never mind. They didn't actually put it in their Spotify bio. Well, that's embarrassing. Okay, well, it's soon. It's either October or November, which means we might get one more single. So I'm completely okay with that.
Moving
Speaking of-
on.
Catchy.
Yeah, speaking of catchy, and speaking of getting lucky in Pokemon Nuzlocke, Concrete Castles have dropped a brand new song called Lucky.
How'd you get so lucky, lucky? Goddamn, it's like you're made of money, money. It's like they wanna take it from me, from me. Well, if you wanna fucking try.
Tell me what it's like.
How'd you get so lucky? Lucky. Justin, you're the one that landed 3 hypnosises in a row. Answer the
Yeah,
question.
man.
And that
Toxic.
bullshit confused right that one.
Anyway,
I didn't listen to this.
Oh, come on.
man.
I saw this live.
Oh, you did?
It was acoustic, too, so it was really,
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah.
This would sound acoustic, actually. Like, How did it
It's very-
sound?
It was very interesting.
Did they
I
change
don't
up the
think,
tempo
I think I
at all?
like, what'd you say?
I said, did they change up the tempo at all? Because, like, I feel like this is a song that's very, like, it leans a lot into its energy type of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, it's been like a month, so it's hard to remember.
You
but
forgot it. Repressed it.
I did enjoy that Concrete Castles show, so I can tell you that.
This is my favorite song of theirs since their album from last year. Pretty easily. This
Yes.
is stupid catchy. And just, it's stupid catchy, like, vocally, but also instrumentally. There's, like, a level of sass to the guitar and bass in this song.
Yeah.
That just, it really is. It all comes together in this, like, it's a very fun energy. It's also lyrically, this feels like a diss track in a way to all the people that are like, you only want to be our friend now that we're popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you get so lucky? Type thing. You just got lucky to be successful. I don't know. Either way, this is my favorite single of the month. So
We're
crossing
starting
that
off
off
with
pretty
everybody's favorites here.
Yeah, all down. Well, not all downhill from here, but singles wise, it's mostly downhill from here.
That's not a
Concrete
good-
Castles are great.
No,
This song
everybody's
is
gonna
great.
tune out now.
Yeah, well, we got through the 2. We're good.
Just wait
26,
for the albums and
26,
EPs. There's some redemption. There's some.
Well,
redemption
there's
later
some
on.
good singles here too. I
Yeah.
think September is definitely a month that lent itself more to the albums than the singles, at least for me
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
I know I'm looking at the last like 6 singles in the playlist, and I know Justin's sitting there like, well, I don't know about that, guys. Like,
Hello.
The Justin guarantee.
yep.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to add to this Concrete Castle song. It's stupid catchy. It's an earworm. Listen to it.
As Concrete Castles do,
Yeah.
the Concrete Castle
can't,
standard
They can't
at this
miss.
point.
Yeah.
We Came as Romans have released, I'm gonna assume, is the final single for their upcoming album. It's titled Golden.
Before you left, I saw you one last time, but I couldn't see through tear-filled eyes. Couldn't bring myself to
off the upcoming album Dark Bloom, right? That's the name
Yes,
of it. Yeah.
I believe so.
This is about Kyle, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah. Because I was listening to this and I'm like, oh, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's heavy. And like not even instrumentally or vocally
Yeah.
heavy. I mean, it's We Came as Romans, so it's gonna be heavy in some respect probably, but like lyrically, especially if this is about Kyle, ooh.
Mm. And yeah, I think that's like the main reason I added it. Like, I miss Kyle, and I think it's really sad because I want to like what they're doing now more,
Mm-hmm.
but I just can't get into it without him there.
I think for me, and I mean, I say this as somebody who, wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of either band of their older material. But they feel very similar to Archetypes to me, where they lost a very important member and suddenly it feels like a part of the band is gone and they're trying to like
Yeah.
compensate for that void, but they aren't really able to do it.
Mhm.
Because I mean, like I enjoy Daggers is easily my favorite We Came as Roman song. Like that this kind of newer, we'll call it era, I guess, without Kyle. I enjoy it as a casual listener. Their older stuff, it's all good. I like it. I don't love it, but it feels a lot more generic, and outside of this song, it feels like a lot of that soul is gone. Which makes sense because a big part of the band died, like one of their friends, a major part of the band.
Mhm.
But it feels like an entirely different band, I think. Like listening to something like To Plant a Seed or
For
Cold
sure.
Like War, and then in contrast to some of these newer ones, I don't feel like, I mean, I guess Learning to Survive is really popular, but it doesn't feel like anything that would have necessarily maybe like earned its place on Octane type of thing. Whereas a lot of these singles feel like they're more generic, crafted for radio type of thing,
Mm.
more easily accessible at the expense of a lot of what I think made the band kind of more special before, and so
Yeah.
special for so many people, which is why losing Kyle hurt so much. But
I'm coming at this with a different perspective because I was never really into the band until Dark Bloom came out. That was the first song of theirs that I really got into, and then Black Hole from last year is my favorite song of theirs. I haven't listened to Cold Like War or anything prior, really. So I feel like how hard and how heavy this song hits most people isn't hitting me just because I haven't been a fan of the band for that long. So I don't really have that context. I mean, it's a good song, but I'm not connecting with it in the same way that I feel like most of their fans probably are. So I don't feel like I'm getting the full experience with this song at this point.
I saw them live before, like this is like literally like 2 days before the pandemic. um and the energy in that room was insane. Like the amount of like sadness and emotion, like I was like in tears, like literally at that concert. And I think maybe you have to experience maybe that. Like I only got into We Came as Romans like right before Cold Like War came out. So my like that's my only experience with like Kyle. And like even like as someone who hasn't really listened to them for that long, or at that time hadn't literally listened to them for like their whole discography, I could feel the emotion in the room. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big member of the scene in general. I mean,
Yeah.
that like the foundation of the scene, I feel like were a couple of bands and a couple of people. Kyle Pavone, Chester Bennington comes to mind. I mean, it's a big loss, and so I think that this song does a really good job of bringing back some of what I think the band lost when they lost Kyle.
I think
Both
those two singles they released like 3 years ago, like they were just two like one-off singles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those I can't remember which one from the first note I want to say had like a vocal track from what song was it? To Plant a Seed, maybe?
Maybe. I don't remember. It's been too long.
Yeah, I think we should move on. I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No,
Sorry.
just I mean
I
a
kinda cut
good
you
song.
off.
No. I'm not much more to say. It's just that it's a good song, and I think even as somebody who wasn't a big We Came as Romans fan, you can feel Kyle's absence,
Yeah.
and I like that this song brings back, kind of a lyrical memorial to him, but also that it calls back to some of the more emotional side of this band that I think has been
Yes.
missing largely in the past couple of singles.
Yep.
Speaking of a band that's delivering quite a fair bit of emotion, I'd say, Fit for a King have released their newest single, Falling Through the Sky.
It's like I'm falling through the sky, revolving like a satellite, rebuilding.
This is probably my favorite single so far.
I think so too.
When is this album coming out again?
Next month, I don't know the exact date. I can't remember.
Oh, October. I did look it up, by the way. The Polyphia album is coming out next month, so shout out October for having 8
fucked.
gajillion albums. Yeah, we're screwed. This reminds me a lot of Fighting Gravity off that of Mice and Men album from last year.
That is a good comparison.
The same sort of kind of imagery of falling through the sky or whatever, kind of fighting gravity, floating, falling, whatever you want to call it. But that it's a very melodic song. I want to know your thoughts on the breakdown, because I didn't like it the first time I heard it. I thought it was too weird, and the spacing was a little bit too much in between each hit. It left too much space. And then I listened to it a couple more times, and it just works perfectly.
Fit for the King have been the kings of weird breakdowns this year.
Yeah.
Reaper had a bit of an odd one. End had a pretty strange one. This one also just has a weird amount of space. I don't know what's going on with their breakdowns. I kind of fuck with it. Good on them for not just doing a stereotypical breakdown that we've heard 600 times before.
Right.
Wait, I just realized I see this band on Wednesday.
Better get learning those lyrics then. I think that's something that I appreciate the most about this album cycle. And Ryan Kirby did say that even if this song does feel weird, it's gonna fit a lot better on the album. Which brings me a lot of hope for this compared to The Path. And I know I'm saying that like it wasn't in Jake's top 10 of 2020. But The Path felt a little more generic, I guess. I didn't feel like it really stretched any boundaries. Whereas with this, it feels like not only have they hit a return to form, but 3 singles deep, this feels new for them almost. It keeps some of those older Fit for a King kind of vibe, but they've put it into a new way, and especially if it's going to fit better on the album. I'm very hopeful that this is going to reach the same highs that I liked about The Path, and then beat out all the lows that I didn't like about The Path. Wasn't sure what to think with Reaper, but I think with The Other Side and Falling Through the Sky, I'm now really, really excited for this album.
In a weird twist of fate, Reaper is still my favorite single.
I would have never expected that, not in a million years.
This is my second favorite single, though. I enjoy the very Queen focused vocals on this song. If Ryan Kirby made a side project for single-handedly doing Queen vocals, I'm thinking something in the style of a Normandy. I would love that. I'd be surprised if that ever happens, but he's just such a talented, versatile vocalist that I feel like he can kind of just do whatever the hell he wants and it'll be good.
Yeah. I see. It's interesting because I'm the exact opposite. I really like his unclean. His cleans are good, but I miss Tuck. I want more Tuck cleans.
Me too.
Right.
I'm indifferent. It all
Yeah,
works
but
for me.
what is Tuck's other band that we can show real quick? It's I'm in a van. What the fuck is in it? Jacob, do you know what I'm talking about? Tuck's side project.
No.
Let me real quick. Tuck Fit for a King. I don't remember. Shit. But he has a side project with only his cleans. So, for King the Vampire. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so if you want more, if you want Tuck, there is a project out there that you can get your fix on.
Noted. I think the last thing I want to say is that I don't think this album's shaping up to be as good as The Path for me, but I think it's still going to be a very enjoyable album. I have not been disappointed yet.
You really are subverting all my expectations for what I would have expected you to think about this album cycle.
I honestly, I'm a little underwhelmed as well. I probably more so than Jake. Like, I don't think I've really been going back to any of these singles.
Yeah, like that's
Maybe
like this is a
maybe the
really
show
good
will-
song. I like this a lot more than End. This is like comparable to what's Locked in My Head was like the Queen single from The Path, and I really liked that song, and I feel like Falling Through the Sky is like the successor to that song, and I have not listened to it nearly as much in comparison. And I don't know why, because both are great songs. It's just not been something I've gone back to very much. It's just kind of there. It's a good song that's just kind of there.
Well, I think the Path was meant a lot more for like radio or one-offs, which is part of why I didn't like it as much. Like, it didn't feel as much of a cohesive album to me. But you had songs like Break in the Mirror, especially God of Fire. I could not put God of Fire down when that dropped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with these, none of these have that same kind of single powers radio staying power. But I think this album as a whole is going to feel a lot better than The Path did for me, just because of that. That it doesn't feel like there are any singles that are necessary. They could work on radio, but they're not meant for it, you know?
So what I'm hearing is that this album discussion next month is going to be a fun one.
It's going to be interesting, unless it completely flops and subverts all of our expectations and disappoints everybody.
You know what? You know what would be like the craziest thing? It's like we all hate it, but Justin loves it.
Just biting my tongue the whole time.
Comes through at the end, like, yeah, guys, I think this is my album of the year. Oh, okay.
With what Justin has said about his top 10 albums of the year at this point, I wouldn't be
Who
surprised.
the fuck knows? Who knows? Who knows? It's an enigma.
Yeah.
I've been purposely silent on them because I know mine are going to be the most interesting because my tastes are so different.
Lorna Shore.
the least predictable. Yeah, we're gonna get the Lorna Shore AOTY from
Totally.
Justin.
There he said it totally. He said it.
Mark it down.
Confirmed.
Write it down. Lock it in.
We have it recorded.
Anyway, speaking of deathcore,
I was
Jake,
about to
take it
say,
away.
yeah.
Chelsea Grin have released their new single. It's not signal. The Isness.
I heard 3 seconds of this song, and that's all I needed to know.
The Isness sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
Why is that so right? What the fuck?
Sneed and the Isness. This song blows. I'm gonna be
Really?
super real. Yeah. I don't like it at all. I guess blows is a little harsh. I just wanted some contrast to Dr. Seuss. No, it's okay.
I think it's a lot better than the other single.
What was the other single? I don't even remember.
It was Origin of Sin.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that just both of these are completely, absolutely, and unequivocally obliterated by everything off of Eternal Nightmare so far. So it's just like,
Really? What about
They
those two
exist.
singles we got a few years ago, I guess?
yeah. Blind Kings and oh god, I don't remember the other one.
Like, yeah, they both slap though.
Yeah, they do. If those were the two lead singles for this album instead of this, then we might be having a different discussion right now. I think it's not even that it's bad. It's just, and we're going to talk about this again here in a couple of songs, but that this felt very predictable to me, and I listened to it, and it came and went, and it's like, all right, I listened to some deathcore. Like, it doesn't feel like it's got the same replayability appeal to me as songs like, I don't know, Limbs does off of Eternal Nightmare. That I listen to these and it's okay, and if I was in like a really pissed off mood and I wanted to throw on my like Crowd Killing the Furniture playlist, then this would fit right in and I'd be happy with it. But in terms of just like a signal for an album, I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll give it like a 6. Both of these have been like a 6.
He said it's fine.
I said
He
it's
said
fine.
it's
I said the
fine.
line. Yeah, I mean, it exists. It's okay. It's Chelsea Grin doing Chelsea Grin things. I don't think like they're doing anything new or better than they were 4 years ago. So,
That's fair.
especially when they're outshined by those other two, with Bleeding Sun and the other one. I went and looked it up. Yeah,
Blind Kings.
Blind Kings and Bleeding Sun. I think blow these out of the
Yeah.
water. Some left like, okay, we're 2 years
You know,
removed from those. These are kind
That's
of worse.
fair. I do like those singles a little better.
Yeah.
I thought this was playlist worthy here, so I added it. And I think it's a step up from the first single we got.
Honestly, I like the first one more, actually. When I think about it. Because I feel like the lead single for deathcore bands is always going to be the best. Like, out of all the singles, just because I feel like with deathcore, there's this, like, certain necessity to, like, almost hit your listeners with shock value to, like, draw them into the album type of thing.
To the Hellfire, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm listening to this and I'm like, yeah, it's not as good just because I think the first single is always going to have like the better breakdown or whatever it is that's going to try and draw me back.
AKA the pig squeal heard around the world.
Yup, exactly.
As I said, I heard 3 seconds of this song and that's all I needed to know. Let's move on.
I'm still going to check out this album, but I'm not super excited for
There's
it.
2 albums, you know that?
There's 2 Chelsea Grin albums?
Yeah, one in the new year and one in November.
Oh, damn. Okay, well, maybe then. Maybe the next one can redeem itself. We'll see. I'm listening to both. I'm just not super excited.
All right.
Albums I am excited for, though. Bill Murray has dropped 2 new singles, The Void Approacheth and Corn-Fed Yetis.
You made me feel so hollow, but this trauma echoes.
I want to talk about The Void Approacheth first.
Hmm.
Because
It's the better one?
Because it's the better one.
Yeah, it is the better one.
Easily.
It's probably a top 3 Bill Murray song for me, next to Egg and probably some song from that album from last year that I don't remember. And I think that says a lot about my favorite Bill Murray songs. This is a good Bill Murray song. I haven't listened to it in 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Dude, this feature is
Really good.
Really,
it's-
really good.
Yeah, I went and
it's
actually
out of this
listened
world.
to some of Summer Hoop's original music after hearing the feature, and it's pretty good. So I should
do
recommend
that.
checking that out.
The album drops on the
Especially you,
14th.
Derek.
14th, so we got 2 weeks. Not to date the episode, but you know.
Yeah,
I say that like we're not streaming live.
yeah, like you already dated it earlier.
I'm in recording run mode. That's my bad.
I love Bill Murray always does this. He always finds a way to like have like a funny title and non-serious
Mm-hmm.
marketing, and then the lyricism in the song is always like
You're really
So
deep and
great.
depressing. Yeah. Yeah.
so relatable.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Can we talk about the video? Because they mocapped and did it all in Unreal Engine.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah, for
It's
both
fucking
of them,
wild.
For both videos.
yeah, for both of them, for both videos, just them, and then it's so fucking weird because
Such a Bill Murray thing to do.
That's Bill Murray in a
Mhm.
nutshell,
It
but
is a
like
Bill. See, yeah, I'm not too surprised because it's Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
it's just God. It seems like every bar of a reality, Bill Murray just has to break.
He truly, the man truly does not give a fuck. Like
Yeah.
he makes
Same
whatever
guy.
music he wants to, and
He
if-
makes whatever merch he
Yeah.
wants to.
Bill
Yeah.
Murray has perfected the art of not giving a fuck.
This fucking
Okay.
guy has sold potato bags.
they sold out.
They did sell out.
I want Bill Murray to sell eggs. Bill Murray eggs.
Bill Murray eggs.
I wonder if there's a list of all the wacky Bill Murray merch.
Oh, there's gotta
This-
be.
These 2 singles have made me way more excited for this album that we're getting this year than the one we got last year. Like tenfold.
Corn-fed Yetis I wasn't too high on, and I don't know, the feature I didn't like as much. But that's
Really
also
like
just
the
Corn-fed
nuts feature.
Yetis. Corn-fed Yetis reminds me of every reason why I find Bill Murray underwhelming.
Man.
Damn, that's a little all right. I mean, I get it because it's
like,
also my.
at this point, like I've listened to 2 Bill Murray albums for the past 2 years, and generally I feel the same about both of them. A very neutral, it's fine. And Corn-Fed Yetis falls perfectly into that definition that I've set up for myself. The Void Approacheth is giving me at least something to chew on for a few days.
Yeah,
I don't know. Bill Murray's it's just one of those bands that's not going to click for me ever fully, I think.
See, that kind of, I get it, but at the same time, for me, the appeal is the exact same reason, is that like it's just so all over the place that I like everything. There's not anything for me to not like, I guess, like overall in terms of like how he spans genres or whatever he does. I mean, I say that like I wasn't as big of a fan of Corn-Fed Yetis, but I really like the Knox feature. I think the thing keeping me back was the switch up in the drum tempo to the chorus. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that this is shaping up to be better than 400-pound back squat. I didn't love 400-pound back squat. This is, as far as I'm concerned, I think that Corn-Fed Yetis, even if I don't like it now, is definitely going to be one that clicks with me on the album. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm patient. We
Yeah,
got 2 weeks to this, and I'm excited.
I think this, like both, like I said, even Corn-Fed Yetis, which I don't like as much as The Void Approacheth, I think it's miles above anything off the album we got last year.
Moving on, Wavered have put out a brand new song called Dear Past, Present, and Future. We talked about them for the first time last year with When the Sun Never Shines on Me, that absolute banger of a metalcore song.
Still their best song.
Still their best song, very true. This is their second best song, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
They released some song with another really long name back in April. Didn't really stick with me at all. This one's sticking with me more. This band, for their size, they are doing something different. I can't exactly pinpoint what it is, but there is something different about this band that makes me really enjoy their sound.
They're being
They're not like
architects in place of architects.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I don't know, there's so many like small bands that kind of just sound the same. And as much as Wavered are kind of do it like architects but not architects type thing, I still feel like they're doing it different. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
They're doing it a little different. I added this song to the playlist. That's kind of all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it. I think it's definitely a case of like, kind of like how with fashion, it's on like a 20-year cycle, right? So what was once popular 20 years ago will come back kind of vintage or back into the mainstream. I think that that's what's going on here, is that this sound was really prevalent from like 2016 to 2018, and then people kind of drifted away from it. So now that they're doing it, like, 4 to 6 years later, it feels fresh again. They're like, no other bands are doing this now, and it's because people already did it. Now they're coming back to it. Again, they're architects in place of architects, and for better or for worse, I really enjoy it. Something about this isn't quite clicking with me enough for me to like playlist it, but I still think this is their second best song. And
it doesn't have the same wow factor that When the Sun Never Shines on Me had.
Yeah. Well, the good news for them is that when the Sun Never Shines,
That one.
when that dropped, they were sitting at like 300 monthly listeners, and now I think they're at like 1,200, 1,300. So, the 300-400% increase. I think we take those for Wavered. Another just small band that we really enjoy.
And definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard of them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lorna Shore have dropped 2 new singles. Pain Remains 1, Dancing Like Flames, and the sequel, Pain Remains 2, After All I've Done, I'll Disappear.
I think it's like one long song just split into 3,
Yeah.
and we got 2 parts of it.
I noticed that when it felt like
It cuts off. Yeah.
it cuts off at the start of the first song.
You know what really pisses me off is when you play them back to back. There's still a little gap there.
There is, yeah.
Hopefully
Which-
that's fixed on the album. I'd assume it will be.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a Spotify thing. I have seamless transitioning on or whatever the setting is, so I was hoping that it would go together. But yeah, it did feel a little disjointed. And if they don't fix it, it feels a little weird and wrong.
Yeah.
I think that Pain Remains 1 is the better of the two, I would say, or the one I enjoy more.
I will agree with that because there is a minute of instrumental opening, and that's more Lorna Shore than I've ever enjoyed.
I'm kind of over Lorna Shore.
See, the reason I added this is because, like, I didn't add any of the other singles because honestly, the last few, I don't remember. I don't even know how many other singles there are. I think there's maybe 2 for
An
the
amount.
album.
Let me see. Cursed to
Anyways.
Die, Into the Earth, and Sun Eater. So
Okay,
there's
there's
5
3.
singles now.
There's
There's 5 total, 3 before these.
Yeah. 3 before these. I think they all sounded the same.
They do.
And I think this is like it's an interesting thing for deathcore because it's like really like I don't know if you watched the video for these, but
Mm-mm.
it is really you have to watch the
Okay.
video.
Okay.
Like you're almost on the verge of tears watching this, and I'm like,
Oh,
it's
damn.
like I'm getting my ears blasted out, and I'm like crying. It's quite an experience. It kind of is like the Knocked Loose.
Oh yeah.
EP,
Okay.
Where you
Okay.
need to watch the video.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really have a lot to say. I think that it is alarming that a lot of their songs sound the same, and I do enjoy these a lot more. Maybe that's because of the video, but
I think for me, what I'm feeling as far as these singles go, as opposed to the EP from last year, is that I go into it knowing that I've got 3 songs, and I'm
Yeah.
only gonna have 3 songs.
mm,
So I can sit there and it's like, all right, even if these are a little longer and parts of them sound the same, there's always going to be that one moment in each of the 3 that make that EP worth listening to as a whole.
yes.
At this point, this album's slated to be like an hour long.
Is
I
it?
don't know if I can do. I mean, these songs have all been 5
True,
plus
true, true.
minutes. I'm pretty
True.
sure, and I think
Yeah.
Immortal was, I guess, 45 minutes, but most of those songs are all 3-4 minutes. Even 45 minutes of this is just like, I appreciate what they're doing, where the songs like these with Pain Remains 1 and 2, and I guess eventually the third part, that they're going to transition into one another. I can't take 15 straight minutes of the same Lorna Shore song. I can't do it. And it's not even that it's too heavy, it's just boring because they all sound the same. I don't want 50 minutes of an album that all sounds the same, especially when it's this genre. You know, I feel like deathcore very easily falls into like this trap of
Yeah.
it sounds this way. And I think that the appeal to Lorna Shore is, okay, we get a solo, we'll get some like crazy breakdown out of a 6-minute song, and you're kind of just sitting there for the other 4 minutes and 30 seconds of the 6 minutes of the craziness waiting for that moment. At least that's how it is for me. And it's just like, I don't want a whole album of that. And if all these singles are sounding the same, then like I'm still going to listen to it, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to be happy about it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, like that EP is like it's like 18 minutes, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And yeah.
That level of Lorna Shore, that time, it's digestible. I can take, you know, even if they put out an EP, Pain Remains 1, 2, and 3, perfect. I'm fine with it. But if it's bookended by like 4 other songs on either side that all sound the same, that's not an album I want to listen to. So I'm hoping maybe there'll be some variation on the album, but 5 singles deep, I'm not super hopeful.
Well, that's why we haven't talked about any of the other singles.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Are we good to move on?
Yeah, albums that I am surprisingly excited for. Sleeping
Yeah.
with Sirens have dropped their newest single, Complete Collapse.
Which is also the title track off of their upcoming album.
Sometimes I don't wanna feel nothing on the inside. I don't wanna feel nothing as it feels like.
Oh, damn. Okay. I didn't know that, and now I'm kind of upset. I don't like hearing the opener, I don't like hearing the closer, and I don't like hearing the title track. I like saving those to the album.
I don't know what the opener is, but I feel like we've probably heard it already. So
Probably.
2 out of 3. So we only talked about Let You Down last month, but there was a second single released with that. It's the worst single. That's why we didn't talk about it. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that we're 5 singles in, and 4 of these singles are better than anything off of their last album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a Sleeping with Sirens.
Yeah.
I haven't either. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know about them until probably like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So I've only had How It Feels to Be Lost as like a new release. I still think that with Ears to See and Eyes to Hear is their strongest release, even with these
Yes.
5 singles. But
Yeah.
a couple of singles into How It Feels to Be Lost, I wasn't feeling it. This, I'm excited. Complete Collapse is really good. Let You Down was really good. Bloody Knuckles is catchy as all hell. Control Out the Lead is, take one over.
There.
It's still,
It's there.
It exists. I
By the
don't
way,
think it's.
None
What's
of
up?
these are the opener or closer.
Thank God.
Looking at the
Very
trailer.
Nice.
Cool. When is it slated to come out? We
2
know.
Isn't
weeks.
it next month?
Holy shit, October.
Next month is
Yeah,
suspect.
Yeah, October is
Oh.
crazy, dude.
Gonna go down to 4 singles each for October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like this. I don't even know, like, it feels crazy to say that a song this good is only my 3rd favorite single. Like,
Yeah,
I think this is my favorite.
it's my second. Let You Down is still my favorite.
I think it's between Let You Down, Bloody Knuckles, and this, and I don't know. All 3 of them are so close to me that I kind of don't care what the order is. They're just all good, and somehow Sleeping with Sirens is making a run for like a borderline top 10 album of the year for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would
don't
be
know if
surprised if it makes it at the end of the year. At
Yeah.
this point anyway, but like 4 out of 5, if Let You Down is, or no, if Control Alt Delete is the worst single on the album, like, I think there's a chance.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
I'll mention this again later when we talk about one of the albums. I feel like for me, that as much as I enjoy these singles, I don't think it's going to make a run for my top 10, but it's definitely going to be one that gives me a lot of songs that I can like enjoy and listen to.
Yep.
And if nothing else, it's just going to be a fun listen.
I
They've
project
got
this
a
to
lot
be
of energy.
like a solid top 20 contender. Not
Yeah.
top 10, but like something that like there's good stuff on here. It's
Yeah.
not like, it's not the peak, but like something that I'm not going to be upset that I gave it a listen at all. And saying that about Sleeping with Sirens after that last album, which only had a couple of redeemable songs, is
Yeah.
It's something I wasn't expecting to be saying.
Now, the rest of the album, having said that, the rest of the album could be entirely irredeemable.
It could be.
But-
It very well could be. So
We'll see.
I'm not gonna call it too early, but there's a chance. Before we move on, my favorite part of the song is the delivery on "Sometimes I Don't Want to Feel Nothing on the Inside."
Mm.
Just the delivery on that vocal in particular is just fantastic. Yeah, I'm surprisingly excited about this album, and I'm glad that's a sentiment that we're all kind of feeling.
Jake, I want to hear what you have to say about this next song.
Wow, good pun. Yes. Red Hook have
Thanks.
dropped a brand new song called Say.
Go on and say what you wanna say, what you wanna say.
Am I tripping? I looked at this and I didn't see the title of the song. I just saw the album art and I thought that the tape said gay on it.
Yeah, yeah.
She just had this piece of tape that I'm like, what is the metaphor here? Like, what am I missing?
You need to learn your ABCs again.
Facts. I gotta listen to that Polyphia song a couple
Polyphia.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to the 4-second alphabet of that song a few more times, and then maybe you'll actually hear it. I think this is a stupid catchy chorus. I feel like that's kind of been a theme this month. Like, before you even finish your first listen to this song, you're gonna have say what you want to say stuck in your head. It's just an earworm. Red Hook are, ever since that EP from last year, they've been pretty consistently delivering, in my opinion. And this is just another really solid song from them. Cool little breakdown at the end too, to outro the song. It's like not even 10 seconds long, came the fuck out of nowhere. But I enjoyed it. Chorus is really catchy. I think the verses are solid as usual. I don't think this is their best song, but it's another enjoyable Red Hook song.
Yeah, it's the Red Hook guarantee for me, where I love the energy, I love the instrumentation. I can take or leave the vocals and lyricism. They've always got such an ear for melody and
Yeah.
energy, but sometimes the vocals don't click as much for me. It's that same way here. Alien's still my favorite song of theirs by far, and the only one I really revisit. But I mean, Red Hook, I feel like at this point, even if I don't love everything, are just one of those bands that can consistently deliver something that I'm at least going to have fun listening to. And it's always good to have a couple of those bands up your sleeve.
Yep.
It took us 13 tracks, but we made it. The first of many Justin songs. Justin.
Did it really take this long?
Yes.
It wasn't that long. We got our cut.
Yep.
Sorry, I had a
He
Jake.
pulled the
moment.
Derek. Well, he pulled the Jake who pulled the Derek.
Archetypes Collide with their new single, My Own Device.
Good song.
Good song.
Alright,
I
Max.
like to talk about it a little bit more. I liked how different it is from their other stuff.
It is a very different song. That is true.
I do want to kind of mention. I feel like them signing to Fearless. I think their sound's been a little bit different. I haven't really noticed anything that gave me that sense of like joy that Your Misery and Becoming What I Hate did. But this song in general is pretty good. I liked it better than Undertow.
This is definitely a step in the right direction from Undertow.
Mhm.
This feels more, it feels like they're finding their sound. As much as I already feel like they had a really solid sound, this feels like they're finding what makes them unique, and specifically in Kyle's vocals. I think this is just a really solid performance. It feels like he's expanding his range into like a more gritty tone, which ultimately just means they can be even more versatile. And whatever this band has cooking, I'm intrigued with. As much as I do like this song, it's not something I really had on repeat much throughout the month. It was another one of those songs that's good, but just kind of there, unfortunately. Archetypes Collide, who
Yeah,
have generally been like a guaranteed hit for me for the past few years, and just I hate to say that the song was kind of just there, but it's a great song. But something about this month of September just has me feeling very apathetic towards most music that I listen to this month, and even
Most new music.
yeah, most new music. And even like some of my favorite bands that otherwise I'm really stoked about aren't ending up in that constant rotation in the same way that August blew me away, which is a shame.
Landon Tours has dropped I don't even know if we want to call it a single, a new song called Sync With Me featuring Blanket.
So please don't sink with me. My feet feel buried. The things
And I don't know, is this a feature or is it produced by Blanket?
No, you know what? It feels like to me. It feels like it's a Blanket song with a Landon Tours feature.
Yeah. This I really appreciate that. It's kind of similar to Bill Murray, maybe not in the same way, but Landon Tours just does whatever the fuck he wants with his solo music, and it always seems to work in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the album art is them sitting together, right?
Yes, on I think Landon Tours' roof,
That's
or on a roof.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
I thought it was really interesting that it's it feels like a Blanket song, not and then like because Landon Tours' part feels way shorter than Blanket's in my opinion.
yeah, it's the beat on this reminds me of a Drake song, and I can't place which one it is. I
no.
think it might be either Fountains or One Dance. I'm not positive, but it really I didn't know what to expect going into this, and then I heard it, and I'm like, this is really unique. This doesn't sound like I think anything else he's really done before.
No.
Shout outs Blanket for that. I don't even know if pushing him out of his comfort zone is the right term, but just doing
Trying
something
something new.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know if this is like, are we getting a new solo EP
I'm
or
not
anything?
sure. Yeah,
I
don't think
I
think it's
hope
attached to
so.
anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always hopeful that we'll get new Landon Tour solo material, but at the same time, it kind of just feels like he's going to drop what he wants to drop and whenever he wants to drop it, and if it's attached to something, so be it. Which is fine by me because I think that this is really good and really catchy, even if it is different, and I fuck with it a lot.
Mm. I feel like this could almost fit into like my garden playlist.
Yeah, it's that
With
same
the-
sort
with
of
the
vibe.
beat, with the
Mhm.
beat, yeah.
It reminded me almost a little bit of Haunted in the way that it felt like the beat kind of flowed back and forth,
Mm.
kind of like an ebb and flow type of thing.
Speaking.
Speaking of Garden, Garden has dropped the last single off his upcoming album, Creatures Together, out on October 5th, called Geronimo.
I had everything mapped to a T, but everything here isn't quite as it seems. There's blood everywhere from the heart on my sleeve.
More acoustic than a lot of the other singles were. Probably the strongest lyrically,
Yeah.
I have to say.
I heard this song once and I agree with you. Don't ask me to tell you what the lyrics are though.
I'll tell you what the lyrics are. We got some
read the whole thing.
yeah, exactly. The intro bit, don't do it for them, do it for yourself, maybe. Disguising the truth, convincing myself they hate me. Are you really there, or am I just talking to myself? I'll do it again. I'll stay up and watch the sunrise on top of the shed. I wish I could stay here all night. I don't understand. Why is it always like this? And then there was something later in the second verse. A permanent fix. I wanted to leave it all behind me, cauterizing the thread on my wings so I'm no longer flying. Help me, I'm trying to climb out of this hell. It's hard to talk when I lack all the skills that I need to get out of my shell. I'm not
That's
scared
the
to
line.
jump.
That's the
Yup,
line.
that's the line. Say the line. I'm not scared to jump, so please don't come near me. When I hit the bottom is when they'll start cheering, and now I'm a ghost. I don't know if you're hearing this. And then the outro is just, and now I'm a ghost. I don't know if you can hear me. And now I'm a ghost. Oh, hello, can you hear me? On repeat. And it's just somehow always able. I don't know how Garden does it. It just, there's never, ever, even, my favorite band being Dance Gavin Dance, how much I love their music. There's never been another artist that I feel like I can connect with so much with every single song that he releases. It's crazy. I don't think there's been a single song he's dropped in the past 3 years that I haven't saved. Just it feels. It's also another case of, in an entirely separate way than Landon Tours and Bill Murray, that it feels like Garden just drops. He makes what he wants to make and drop what he drops, and he puts into the lyricism whatever he's feeling at the time, and whatever he's feeling is somehow, some way, similar to whatever I'm going through. So not only is he dropping something that I can enjoy listening to, but it's also something that I can relate to at any given point. I don't think I've heard an artist that's so earnest and honest with himself and also in his lyrics, that in saying what he wants to say, it is almost kind of like a Bill Murray, that regardless of what the music sounds like, the lyricism is always something personal and something deep to enjoy.
If you drop a lyric about struggling to come out of my shell, that's like a guaranteed hit for me. I don't really like the instrumentation. It's not a secret at this point that Garden's music is not for me. But I can appreciate a social anxiety lyric when I hear one.
Yeah. Jacob, with the 3 singles, Highway, featuring Sewer Person, not on the album. What the fuck is that? That with Geronimo, Perfect, and Jetlag being the 3 singles off of the album, how do you feel about Geronimo in comparison to Perfect and Jetlag?
Sonically, I think it's my least favorite. Lyrically, I think I still like the nostalgic feeling I get from Perfect.
Yeah.
So I think I still like Perfect slightly better. I think Jetlag is the weakest lyrically, but so this would be 2 lyrically and 3 sonically.
I would say for me, 3 sonically, 1 lyrically. I think in saying that it's the weakest single, I still really enjoy it, and I'm so beyond excited for this album to drop in 4 days. I need it. I wanted it yesterday, but can't always get what we want. Some streaming service issue. But no, I'm so happy with this
If
song.
anything, now you guys get an extra month to like deep dive into the lyrics and whatnot.
Yeah,
so.
but then it's another album that I have to talk about in October. To add to the other 10 that are dropping. What do you do?
I think
Suffer.
my favorite lyric in this is like the "I miss drinking until 6 a.m. with all my friends, even the ones I just met. Hey yo, and I hope you're listening, man."
Yeah.
Just like a call out to some random friend. It's like
some random guy,
yeah.
But it's not just a lyric. I feel like that's the Garden guarantee. You could have put anybody in a different artist that it's like, okay, whatever. But this, it's like, oh shit, he knew this guy. Oh, and you believe him, I guess.
Yeah.
On an entirely different vibe, Termina have released
still a Derek vibe.
Yeah, still a Derek vibe. Have released their newest single, "Take Flight." Holy shit!
We flipped the Derek coin.
We flipped the Derek coin.
This is the best Termina song easily.
Ooh! If it's not this, it's Translucent. Like the single that dropped before this. It's one of the two.
This is it.
Man, Jake, isn't this a Termina song?
This is a Termina song, all right.
Getting the drummer from Ocean's 8, Alaska to drum for this album was the best decision this band could have ever made. Because I think Nick's on guitar and bass, and then they've got the drummer from Ocean's 8, Alaska on drums, and then obviously Andy on vocals, and Nick doing backing vocals. And suddenly Termina went from a side project to a supergroup.
Yeah, I had to say, like, is Termina a supergroup now?
This band has leveled up entirely. That album last year was, I know it was what Jake's least favorite or second least favorite album of the year last year. And a couple, I say a couple months, God, it's been a year. Removed from that album. I'm not as high on it either, and I think a lot of the lyricism doesn't handle or stick up a lot of the production. But this, it's well produced. The drums aren't programmed anymore, so it sounds a lot better. Everything's so much more crisp and clear, and they're just throwing in a breakdown wherever they can, and somehow it works perfectly. I guess this is off of something, right? I think there's an album.
I don't know.
The 2 songs are put together on Spotify, so maybe it's
that's usually a sign.
An EP, an album, whatever. Suddenly Termina's gone from, okay, this is an enjoyable album, like whatever, good side project, to top 10 maybe album of the year potential. With these 2 singles, it feels like an entirely different band in all the best ways.
Oh, it sounds so much better.
Oh yeah.
And, that album last year? Yeah, whenever it was.
110%.
I think my highlight is the clean chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Andy fucking nailed the chorus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I may not like the rest of it, but that chorus is
I think that
good.
I think that chorus is the reason I have this song saved.
Is there a better guarantee than Andy Cizek in a chorus? I feel like he just nails every clean chorus he's done. Like, even though Termina wasn't as strong, like all those choruses were so good, or that first Termina album, this one's so good. That Monuments album from earlier this year, if you guys haven't heard that, Jacob in particular, you need to get on it. Because it's like this, but gentier, and it's incredible. Yeah, it's really, really good. Andy just killing it, Nick killing it, doing the backing vocals now. This band's on an entirely different level than that debut album, and I'm here for it. Just phenomenal stuff.
I just want to backtrack about Termina being my least favorite album of last year. If I wanted to find something worse, I very easily could. It just so happens that that's one of a very small selection of albums that I purposely listened to last year, knowing I wouldn't like it.
He took one for the team.
I took one for the team. And unfortunately for the stats. Let's Up.
Down.
Yeah. That was a below.
What?
That was a really bad one.
Something least favorite. Let's move up. Up, down, up, down. 1,000 Below dropped a new song called Face to Face.
Cause I've been feeling up, down, every damn way. Take a deep breath, that's all they say. Up, down,
Jake putting in the Konami code on the podcast? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Bro, I just like leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling to try and process whatever the fuck I just heard.
I got what you're doing, Jake. Don't worry.
Thank you, my Canadian brethren.
Dude, 2 p.m. really is just, I feel like we're all in limbo.
Yeah.
We should be tired when we record these at 9 p.m. Instead it's 2
I
p.m.
need my
at what?
afternoon nap, bro.
Oh, I need coffee. I need coffee desperately. I wonder if I can DoorDash Starbucks while you guys talk about 1,000 Below.
Man.
Anyway, this is a really good song.
It is.
This is one of a handful of songs this month that did not disappoint me. Good job!
Shout out 1,000 Below for not disappointing Jake.
Shout out 1,000 Below for this one. Up, down, up, down. Good chorus.
That chorus, you get it. It gets stuck in your head so fast. Like by the time they're singing it again, and you're already singing along.
In the same way with like the red
Yeah.
hook of say what you want to say, up, down, up, down. You know, you just know.
Yeah.
And also some really tasteful breakdowns as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
that
is-
breakdown's
it's-
really good.
It's also very short. You're in and you're out, which I feel
You're up,
like
down, up,
is
down.
yeah. I feel like that's a little abnormal for a 1,000 Below song to be this fast and just this in and out. But I fuck with it. Good song.
I will say, I think this is my least favorite of the 3 singles, but it is still like insanely good. So
This is way better than Venenosa, but Gone to Me is still superior. I would agree. with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm more into Gone to Me than any of the previous singles.
I think Gone to Me, then this, then Venenosa for me.
Yep.
The
Same
production
way.
on this reminds me a lot of Swan Song by the Plot New. Just the
Yeah.
way that I think the
Oh,
drums sound.
I actually thank you for reminding me that I wanted to say something like that. Like even the music video reminds me of Swan Song. Like it's almost sounds like a plot song too.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. That was one of the first things I noticed when I heard it. But I mean, it's probably if it's a plot song, it's a really good plot song. So yeah, there are just certain bands I feel like that their influence is felt through a lot of music that releases now, and like the kind of more post-hardcore-y side of
Mhm.
things, or maybe the more post-hardcore side of metalcore. And I think that Plot's influence is definitely showing here. But I mean,
Yeah.
1,000 Below is a great band, and Plot New is a great band. So if you put one great band with the influence of another one, or at least a sonic influence, then I mean, you're kind of set up entirely for success.
For sure.
Hopefully, we get to hear this one on tour later this year.
I imagine we will.
That's right. We hadn't talked about that on the podcast, but we're actually doing a IRL meetup in December.
Finally,
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
we
speaking of
made-
that tour as well,
Yeah.
do we want to talk about this next one, Justin? Sorry for cutting you off.
no, it's fine. It's good transition. Where I was
Speaking of
going to.
hearing 1,000 Below on tour, we're also going to be hearing Dayseeker on the same tour. They've dropped a brand new song, Dream State.
I can try putting blinds when I walk through hell. Now I trace a reminder. I know that nothing is
The opener
The
to
album
the
opener.
album.
And I think this is a better album opener than Drunk. And I haven't even heard the
Nope.
album yet.
Oh wow, no,
No.
bad,
No.
bad, Jake. I'm putting you in
Hold up.
timeout. You need to go
Wait
think
a
about what you've
second.
done.
I didn't even like try to compare the two.
Yeah,
Now you've done that and you've hurt me.
yeah, exactly.
like
Like
I
I
may
will,
change my opinion when the album
will-
releases.
So here's the
Against your
thing.
will, yes.
Yeah, I think I almost don't even know if they're comparable. in any sense other than their openers, because I think that
Yeah.
the vibe of Sleep Talk and a lot of what that album was talking. I mean, let's be real, guys. Sleep Talk was sad. This album's also going to be sad. They're sad for two different reasons. I'm really curious to see how the rest of the album sounds, because this sounds a lot like Neon Grave, and I think it's right before it on the track list. And so I want to see how this works as an opener before I give it that like undue comparison to Drunk. But if we had to compare them based on openers alone, I think Drunk blows this out of the water. This
Yeah.
sounds.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that like Drunk, if you like gave me all of those songs on Sleep Talk out of order, Drunk is the one that works as an opener best by far. It wouldn't be anywhere else on the album. This, it works as an opener. It sounds like it could be track 4 or track 6.
That's
You know.
true. I can see it, but I feel some strong opener energy with this one.
This album is early November, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so that means I can avoid listening to any more singles and still review it, the probable single in October.
Well, the funny thing is that if the album drops in November and if it's around the same time as the live show when we're meeting up, we're gonna be talking about the album probably when we meet up.
True.
Are we doing a live one of those? I forgot about that.
I don't.
Maybe
I
don't know. We'll figure it
I
out.
don't-
Details to
I
I
be
don't
feel
know.
determined.
like it could either work or it's gonna go really, really poorly.
One of the two. That's very true.
I don't know.
Very
I
true.
see two of you being drunk. That sound like the good time to me.
Bro, I don't even know. I'm talking more about the microphone. Trying to get
Pass
everybody's
them around.
voice at the same
Could you
time.
imagine just passing
we got
it around,
microphones,
all you
we're
hear
fine.
is the entire time.
Yeah.
No, we got microphones. We're good.
Anyway, I think this
Fun.
is a really good song. Good breakdown, good lyrics, sad lyrics like usual. I
course,
think
Stay Seeker.
Drunk is definitely more distinctly an opener, but this still has opener energy to me. And I think it's going to be a fantastic way to start off Dark Sun as an album. That's just my prediction. I feel like this is going to be a strong opener, and it's going to set the mood for what the album's going to deliver.
Is the mood gonna be terrified?
No? Hopefully not.
All right. Well, I got a song for you that is terrified. It's by Versus Me.
I'm wearing thin, so take this in. When it's over,
Thus we begin the 8-track run of Justin's
Is it
Reign of
actually
Terror.
Yeah, I've been quiet all episode. I need,
They're all at the
I need my
end.
moment, so that way if you don't want to
Comes
hear it, you
back.
can skip it.
This is about to be the easiest paywalled section of our lives.
Yeah.
No editing required. Just like, yeah, about a minute or an hour 15 to about.
Actually,
You
I'm gonna
just
go
mute
take
me.
that. I'm gonna go take that afternoon nap. I'll be back actually.
Yeah, I'm sitting back in my chair right now.
Actually,
Either way, how are we feeling about this one?
I'm
It's
still in my
probably-
bed now. I just want to say
All right, well,
Dude,
Jake's
this is
gone.
like
He's
I'm
gone.
back.
My
I had
man-
to pull the joke. I had to
My
pull the
man's
joke.
like a nut, bro. We're gonna have to yell at him, wake him up like an
That-
alarm.
You know what that reminded me of? It's like that faded scream in that Archetypes song that came out last month.
No,
Jake's doing that.
we need to take that and dub it over it. I like that.
We are one and
Um,
the fucking same.
Justin, to answer your question, I don't love it compared to a lot of the stuff off of Continuous, but I think this is the best song that they've dropped since then.
Yeah, I probably agree.
I like that they brought back some of the electronic elements into this that they had off of Continuous. I think that it's at least welcome. And I really like the verses here. I think that this really gives me Octane vibes. Like, I feel like this would do really well on like hard rock radio.
Yeah.
I was surprised by the anthemic chorus,
Mm.
but it works. Like it works really well.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan of the electronics in the breakdown.
Yeah, the breakdown's also pretty good. I think it was was it Control or Down? Me personally asking that I liked more, I couldn't remember, but
I think those are the two best songs in recent memory. I think Terrified's a good song, but it's not stacking up to their songs from last year for me.
I also have some recency because at work, a lot of songs from Continuous pop in my work playlist. So I've heard Flatline recently, and it stacks up. It's this song in general. I think they've got like a very distinct sound that just works no matter what you throw at it.
There is a Versus Me guarantee when you listen to their songs. Like, you kind of know roughly what it's going to sound like, and generally it's going to be pretty good.
Speaking of pretty good, we got a new Everest. We haven't talked about them in the bit because I don't think we talked about Pretend. But this is their new song, Tread Carefully.
So let 'em fire away. They like to see you try and dodge grenades.
It's a pretty good song.
Yeah. I still like Gravity. Gravity is just a whole nother on a whole nother level compared to what they've done here. But I love the tone shift into the chorus and the breakdown specifically.
Good breakdown. I will agree with that. The chorus is throwing me off a bit, though. I don't know why. But going from the verses into the chorus, just that transition, it's not hitting. And unfortunately, this is just another Everest song to throw into the pile of song that's very much just there. I'm never going to complain when I hear it, but I'm also not really going to have it on rotation very often.
Yeah, I think I only have it on rotation because it came out Wednesday from when we're recording this.
Yeah, true.
But I don't know. I feel like Everest has got that. It's got a good like head start into their sound, but I feel like there needs to be more. And I think this song is doing more, but I want to see what else they can.
I really like the opening verse and just the verses in general. There's a very, I don't know how, it's very atmospheric, and I really like all the atmosphere and the space that the instrumentation is giving. I just wish that the chorus hit a little bit harder, or the melody was maybe not as wordy. I don't know. It's close to being one of my favorite Everest songs, but it's not fully there. And yes, I'm saying that in the same discussion as saying it's a song that's very much just there for me.
That's about right.
Yeah. As I've said multiple times, I have just been very apathetic towards most new music this month, unfortunately.
That's how it was for me in July, I want to say, or at least the start of this month too. Like, I was not really vibing with really anything that recently released until this week, where we
let's move on to the next one.
Not this one was in my rotation, but we got Hollow City dropping another track. This is American Wasteland.
Hollow City are a pretty alright band. This is not my favorite from them, though.
Yeah, I threw this in because we talked about Look at Me, and I didn't listen to Look at Me when that dropped, but when we talked about it in the podcast, it was surprisingly one of my favorites of that month. And
you're just glossing over All My Friends Take Medicine, that absolute banger from last year.
No, because I'm talking about the year after where Love Like Heroin came out, and that's the only song I really remember past.
Okay, Love Like Heroin's a banger too, so that's fair.
But yeah, this song it's got a good rhythm to it. I feel like it's different. You know, it's
definitely got a different vibe from their other songs, for sure. That's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, as I said, a lot of songs are just kind of there this month for me.
Jacob, did you get around to listen to this?
Not really.
That's fair.
It's
think we're
there.
Good to. Oh, Derek, you want to chime in on Hollow City?
Oh, I forgot I muted both my microphones. I was out here talking. I'm like, oh shit, what? Why is my thing not lighting up? I'm gonna say the line. It's fine. It's good.
There we go.
It
There we
reminds
go.
me a lot of oh god, I don't know if this is even the right band, but Envied by Angels.
Yeah.
It's this very specific like subset of kind of hard rock almost, but with softer vocals in a way that I don't know. I really like it. I don't play. I didn't playlist it, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, having little to no expectations going into it. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Bane of my existence. We got Acres dropping a new single called "Hold On."
Hey, it's been a minute since I've said it, but it's fine.
Hurt my soul every time.
So, I think that this is this is also fine. I don't think it's as good. Well, so now hold on. I don't think it's as good as Burning Throne. I think that Burning Throne is better than this is, and I think this is still good. And I think the song as a whole kind of loses me at points in the sense that I'm not as engaged as I am for the entire song as I am with the chorus, which I think is phenomenal. I really love the kind of soaring post-hardcore choruses that I feel like I haven't heard a lot of bands do it recently, so it's almost nostalgic. It reminds me a lot of what I was getting to hear in like 2018, 2019. So to hear that again from them is really, really nice. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think Burning Throne is better, but I think this is on the right track if they are planning to like drop an album or something with these as singles. I think this is on the right path, and I think it puts itself up well enough to Burning Throne where I could say both of them would fit really well on whatever it is put out.
I believe they're putting out an album next year at some point.
That sounds about right. My favorites from them are still Lonely World. Just the title track for that album was really good.
I will say that as much of an it's fine as I've given this song, I think this is better than Burning Throne. The chorus is a lot more memorable, and Burning Throne is a lot less memorable overall, in my opinion. I'm still not fully convinced by Acres, but again, one of those bands that like I'm not really gonna complain if they ever show up in random shuffle or random rotation or whatever. They're a good band. I'm just waiting for that one song to really hook me in, and I feel like once I get that one song, then Hold On and Burning Throne are just gonna be a lot better, and I'm gonna enjoy them a lot more once I fully am convinced by their sound by some other song they release.
Let's keep going. See, this little diversion into the podcast of my singles isn't so bad. We're getting through it. We got Time the Evaluator dropping their third single titled "Glow."
It's fine.
This slaps.
Thank you.
I'm with you. I think
This
that
is
I
my
like.
single of the month.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
It's so
You know
good.
what? Out of all the ones that you added, as it should be.
Yeah,
I think this is the
that
best
doesn't
one.
surprise me.
I still like Blackwater the most, I think.
I'm with you there.
But the riff on this, there's just such consistently good riffs on all of these songs. Instrumentation's insane, and I love the little electronic elements that kick in on the second verse.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good.
Blackwater, yeah, I can argue that's probably still the best. But I just want to give up to the fucking lyrics that this band has seemingly crafted in each one of these songs. Like, the first verse is, like, I'm not complete yet because what I need is your healing. I'm a stray forlorn, dead unborn, a lone wolf without a home. it's so good. Like this band is making wonders with lyrics, and I think his name is Daniel, is the vocalist. Phenomenal job as a vocalist. And like Blackwater, we really saw where his where
We got to
his,
see him shine there.
yeah, we got to see him shine, really. And these two are just more so creating, like Ivy and Glow are just more so like creating experiences, I would say.
Yeah.
Instrumentally, this song I honestly think is better than Blackwater. Just because I love the riffs and the tone shifts toward the end, where it shifts and goes, "Then I'll be gone once the time is right. I'll be a firelight." That's really good. I loved how they did that as well in Ivy with the last chorus, or the last verse, where it got a little bit unclean toward that end. But man, if there is an album dropping this year, easiest top 10 for me, I would say.
Time Evaluator, please drop the album this year so we can accurately predict Justin's top 10. We
Max,
need
give me
help.
something, bro.
Cowards.
Before we move on, I want to say that while you were talking about all that, I should really like this a lot more than I do. Because there's a certain progressive band that we're going to be talking about in the not too distant future that instrumentally is very reminiscent of this song. And this is not clicking with me nearly as much as this other unnamed band that we'll be talking about later is. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that when the album drops, I end up fucking loving.
Yeah, I think once in the context of the album, because a lot of songs I feel like have that way where you don't really recognize their potential until you hear how it is listed in the album.
Yeah, I feel like there are... You see that a lot with a lot of bands, and there's a lot of bands that, like, the album changes the experience. I feel like a band like Time the Evaluator is, like, at the top of that list of the album is going to change the experience more so than a lot of other bands.
Well, I also listen to a lot more of I listen to a lot of previous songs from How Fleeting, How Fragile, like the Breathe Atlantis feature. That was really good. That's one is still honestly in my playlist and on Rio. And listening to those, like, this band has such a good way of creating an experience instrumentally that I'm really happy to see that the lyrics and the vocals are on par with it and are only going to excel this band.
Yeah.
Take it away, Justin!
Let's move it along here. We got a new band for the podcast named Civilian with their song Therapy.
Nothing is quite the way it was before. Each step I take's a step to go.
Potentially hot take. This is the best song of this streak of Justin songs.
Oh,
Wow. I didn't expect that at all.
yeah.
I
Well,
like
tell me
this a
about it.
lot,
What do you
actually.
think?
Well, I can't tell you very much about it, but it's good. It's more than fine.
You know what I kind of get the vibes of is like almost like, I don't know if any of you know the Venetia Fair,
No.
but it's kind of like, imagine like Ice Nine Kills without screaming.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
was gonna...
theatrical.
The very theatrical. I was gonna think of Light Up the Sky Nightlife. That album had a lot of like theatrical elements in songs like The Haunted Hunt and stuff like that.
The
There's
Haunted
definitely-
Hunt was what I was comparing this to
Yeah.
when I was
Mhm.
originally writing notes for the song.
That doesn't surprise me.
I think also funnily enough, early day Panic at the Disco.
I was also actually thinking that.
Like, fuck, what is that one song? I don't know why I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. They all have ridiculous lyrics or titles at the start.
Yeah, they're all super long names.
I think it was the only difference between Martyrdom and Suicide is press coverage, I think was what I was thinking of. But talking about this song in general, this song is referencing Alice in Wonderland, that whole kind of thematic feeling about it. And coming off the Galleons album from last year, I'm kind of noticing a lot more of those themes and kind of enjoying them a lot more, where it's referencing pop culture, referencing known things, and kind of twisting them and turning them into new ideas and new experiences. And this song in general, you get a lot of the references like that, Back Down the Rabbit Hole, We're All Mad, referencing Mad Hatter, just all this stuff.
Well, Justin, do you like Ice Nine Kills?
I like the Silver Scream. I don't like anything else.
Is that the end of the joke?
I mean,
that was it. That was
a
the
joke?
answer.
I mean, it kind of whooshed over his head, so I just gave up.
Okay, yeah.
Any other thoughts on this?
I'm interested to hear more from this band.
So
Oh, we're on that.
I got into this band with How It Ends dropped in one of my daily mixes, and like I adore that song. That song it's still in my work playlist, and this song makes me appreciate the band more, just with what they can do. They also did a couple songs live for some videos, and their live sound is also pretty good. I'd like to see this band live, but that's about all I got. Let's move on.
You have two more songs. That's
Sure,
not all you
I'm
got.
getting there. I also have an EP, so I'll be here for a little bit. Don't judge me. We got Abyss Watching Me, who featured on a song from a new band called Loners, called Lies or Love. That's the only English you're gonna understand from this song,
Yeah.
because it is very much in their native tongue.
Which is
I can't remember off the top of my head.
unbelievable.
I
dare you.
believe it's Czech.
Czech. It's Czechian. Is that the language of Czechian?
I think
Oh boy.
Slovakian?
Slovakian maybe.
What
the way-
language do Czech people speak? Oh, it's just called Czech.
Oh, it is just called. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds good. I don't understand what they're saying. I wanted to make references to Frenia in this because Frenia just dropped the EP where they translated their Hungarian songs. They translated 3 of them, and I was going to talk about it this month, but it's not on streaming services. So I was gonna make references to that, but it's kind of in the same vein. It's just like the instrumentals sound great. The chorus you can understand because I believe it's full English. Like all in all, it sounds good. A lot of bands like Varsity put out the Latin versions. We're not talking about it, but they put out Welcome Home Part 2, which is just Latin versions of I think Dig, Closer, and Soul. I want to say, but I like that. I like the idea of just making music in native tongue, just making it sound good. Yeah, if you don't understand it, sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes you just need good music. Who cares what they're saying? They could be cursing at me. I don't care. I like it.
Something Bloodywood. Let's move on.
Yeah. We got the last single that we're gonna.
An interesting one, actually.
We got Fragments, another new band, because I'm unhinged. You're welcome. With their song Illumination. There we go.
Provogment's my favorite band.
Bavaris.
Are they?
Yeah, Purvis. This is interesting. This is by far, I would say that this is the most interesting song that we might talk about all month, or at least out of the singles, in terms of just like objectively.
It's got a lot going on to it.
Yeah, this feels more like an experience than a song. You know those maybe you don't, maybe I'm just talking right out of my ass. Do you know those songs, or not songs, those like videos on YouTube where they're supposed to be like meditative, kind of cathartic, calming videos, and they kind of sit down and they like talk to you, and they keep like motivational speeches or like
Yeah.
calming speeches over like a certain type of music. That's almost what this feels like to me with the spoken word, that it doesn't feel like a song that you playlist. It feels like a song for a very specific mood that you put
Yeah.
on to help you get through that mood. You know, almost like Movements in a way, some Movements earlier stuff. What is that? Vacant Home, I think, is a song I'm thinking of. I don't know. But that as like a song, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, it's a good song, and I think the band in this style has a lot of potential. I'm not going to playlist this, but if I'm ever in the mood where I just need to like unwind and let a song kind of express what I'm feeling for me, I think that this is definitely going to be one of my go-tos.
They on the Spotify playlist they reference Architects, Eminence, Linkin Park, Bring Me, Caskets, Dayseeker, North Lane, Holding Absence, Loathe,
Jeez.
Polaris, Sleep Token, Breaking Benjamin, and Under Oath as their
I
as what their
Architects and Holding Absence I could see, and like stylistically, or like at least for this song in particular. Definitely. I mean, I think that this is definitely, it's worth listening to for the experience to determine whether or not you like. You know what this reminds me of too is a lot of the earlier Memorist songs. Like before that last EP dropped, where it's very kind of a, and the Memorist songs weren't necessarily as spoken word, but it was a very kind of raw, roady, I guess, vocal delivery that it feels less like singing, and you know, we say screaming for like screaming vocals, but it really feels like kind of like a crying out almost.
yeah.
Very raw, very emotional. Not really like anything else that's coming out recently that I've heard, at least.
No, I get vibes of like, I don't know if any of you know Adept,
Yes.
the band.
They
You know
have
Adept?
a song called
Okay.
Black Vans. That song is a fucking banger. That's the only song I really care about from them, but yes, I know them.
That's on the same album that Dark Clouds is on. This is like the only song I know from them. And they have like a nice spoken word section that really reminds me of this. And another band, it's not quite the same, but they're a lot smaller, is Sufferer. I don't know if any of you've heard of them, but very emotional spoken word type stuff. Just some stuff to throw out.
No, that makes sense.
No, overall,
Alright.
I'm interested to see where this band goes. I think, even if I'm not as happy with the song as like something I can go back to on repeat, I don't think anybody that I've heard recently is doing stuff like this. So I'm excited. We'll see where it goes. And that brings us to our EPs and albums.
Wowza.
Wow.
Before the
Hey,
2
hey,
hour
I'm still here
mark?
for one more EP. Get fucked. We got Burning of the Sky dropping their EP Burn.
Like a ghost, another chance went by. Now escaping, follow the bloody tracks.
So, Justin, you added this. I assume you're feeling pretty good about this, right?
Yeah, I would say, not counting the Lights cover, I would say 3 out of 4 songs I'm I feel pretty good about and have playlisted. I did not playlist The Flood immediately.
Really?
But I did go back, and I am liking it more and more. Funnily enough, I playlisted Horizons first. But as I went back and listened to it more and more, I did like Burn, Breathe, Repeat, Above Me, and then The Flood is how I had it.
So that's really interesting to me because The Flood was the only one that really stood out to me on this. I think the Lights cover really, really threw me off. Because, I mean, I don't know, I guess if you guys are as familiar with the original, but, like, that was my favorite song of all time, Lights by Ellie Goulding, for a long time. I would, before, back, I think I was probably, 5th grade, 6th grade when that came out. And I would just sit there on iTunes, and I couldn't afford it because, you know, I didn't have any money or a card or anything like that because I was 11. And I would just sit there and I'd listen to the minute 30-second preview of that song on repeat, and so when that came on, it really took me out of the entire experience just because I'm so used to the original and I like it so much that it feels kind of like a sacred song to me almost. Like you don't touch it. Kind of like a Linkin Park song. You don't cover Linkin Park. You don't. Unless your hands like houses, in which case, acceptable. But I think that really kind of, I don't want to say ruined, but it definitely dampened my experience of the EP. But overall, just on an individual song-to-song basis, I think this is really solid. And it's funny that you said that The Flood is the only one that you didn't playlist off the rip, because that's my favorite song on here by far, and it's not even close. So
No, it's totally fine. I heard a lot of people like The Flood more. I think it was just on first listen, just how I was listening to it. It just didn't stick out to me on first. Horizons is really good, and the one I liked first immediately.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of going into it. I was trying to find some lyrics, but I couldn't find any. But I really like the breakdown in it.
Yes.
I think that's my favorite part of Horizons.
And it caps off the EP really well too. Like it's a good way to end it.
It does, yeah. I think this EP just top to bottom is pretty good. A lot of EPs I feel like have at least that one song that I'm just not feeling. No, I think this EP has pretty good top to bottom. It's nothing that really stands out. Like you're not gonna get a huge EP out of this, but it's all pretty good.
I gave The Flood and Lights a listen because they were the two singles, just to like gauge my level of interest. And I wasn't really feeling it, I would be honest. The vocals are not doing it for me, and the mixing and production it didn't feel super well polished. And sometimes that's not an issue, but with me already not loving the vocals that I'm hearing, it's not a package that I'm loving.
Yeah.
But hearing what you're saying, Justin, with Horizons and Burn, Breathe, Repeat, I think I'm gonna give this a full listen. Maybe the non-singles are the best songs here. Sometimes
I think you would really like Horizons, I would say. If there was one that I think you should listen to, it's Horizons.
Noted. I also want to touch on the Lights cover. Feels very out of place. Seeing it as track 4 on the CP. If it's track 5, that's acceptable. If it's track 4, it feels a little off, and it's not the only cover in the middle of an EP that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know how I feel about covers being EPs and being sold as separate projects.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't love Lights, the OG version, as much as Derek does, but I do get what you're saying about how that song it's like almost transcended, like, being covered.
Yeah.
Where like the original is just so iconic and well known that it's like you don't want to touch it.
Yeah, but I get what they are, because apparently it's like there's a sped up version that's like popping off on TikTok or whatever. So I mean they're doing what they need to do with the modern day music thing, where they're playing the numbers game, and it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna get people to listen, this cover's doing well. If we're gonna get, the other EP another one of the EPs we're gonna be talking about did the exact same thing. Where they put the covers in there because they're already doing well, get people to listen to the full project, pump those numbers up, put it on the EP. I get it, but yeah, it feels really out of place, and I like that song way too much for anybody to cover it, and it doesn't feel right. At least not to me.
Let's get to a band that didn't do any covers for their EP and
Shout
still
outs.
did a pretty good shot at EP of the year or album of the year. Paul Bartolome with Reflections Part 2.
This is a fantastic step up from Part 1.
Yeah.
I like part 1 better.
See, I got a problem where I liked the singles, and I never got a chance to listen to the full thing.
For this?
Yeah, I know. I listened to Paralyzed. I think I listened to Oceans and Stressed Out, but I've not listened to them all together.
Dude, you're missing out on Not Afraid of the Dark, the second best song on this EP, and like a top 5 Paul Bartolome song, period?
Yes. I would agree. What's your number one? And there is a correct answer.
Paralyzed.
Wrong.
The correct answer is Heaven, right?
The correct answer is what? Oh no, I meant on this EP. Your favorite song on the EP.
Oh. Favorite song on the EP is Paralyzed, then Not Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Oceans being, I think, the best song on here.
Oceans, I was really feeling. So
I love the Sophie Streeter feature. I think in the same way that we were just talking about how Horizons capped off that Bird in the Sky EP really well. I think Oceans is an amazing way to end this EP. All the features on here really, really work. And the one song that doesn't have it, being Not Afraid of the Dark, is still just as good as the others. As much as I enjoyed Oceans as a whole, I think that the Chiarelli Castillo feature from Conquer Divide is probably the best feature on here.
Yeah,
if I had to...
it's not the best song, but it's the best feature.
Yeah, exactly. She just manages...
Just put her on any song and it's better.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Conquer Divide can do no wrong, and it's just good.
Yeah.
I need more. More Conquer Divide features, please.
It feels like every feature that she does, I don't know if it's because of every band that like produces and mixes whatever feature they send her, but she always sounds so clear in every single feature. If that makes sense, like there's never an issue with her vocals where it's like, oh, maybe it's a little muddy here or there. Like it sounds like she's just there. Like it's almost like she's next to you and like singing. That sounds weird. But
no, I feel that though.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I get it. Yeah.
She's very present in all of the songs that she's featured on, and always sounds so good. I know they mentioned that this was going to be like kind of the heavier of or heavier than part one, and I think that really shines through here. There's basically a solo on every song, which I really appreciated. You know me.
Yep.
There's a breakdown and a solo. I'm chilling. But,
which is why I thought you would love Paralyzed last month, but
yeah, sometimes I think what it is for me, and it feels, I think when they have so many good features that work like this, I think that Paul's vocals, like the cleans, are really good. I think sometimes they don't always fit with the vibe of the song or with the way that the features are coming together, so it sounds a little disjointed at times. Like I think that's what it was for me, that he has kind of a higher pitched vocal range, I would say.
Yeah.
And so when you compare him, like the idea of that on Paralyzed with the Danny Leal feature, I think is a really good idea. I think maybe with those vocals coming together, it contrasts more than it works well for me. And I think that was probably my biggest, maybe not complaint, but I guess like gripe with the EP, is that sometimes it doesn't always feel, the vocals are good, but it didn't always feel like they worked for me. But overall, I really like part 2 a lot more than I like part 1. And I think that when all this comes together, it's going to blow every other Paul Bartolome album out of the water.
Yeah. I think I can agree with that. I a few things, conflicting feelings. I think Oceans is my least favorite song on here, but I think it is really going to shine once the full Reflections album, if it's even going to be called Reflections. Is that a known quantity? Do we know if it's going to be called Reflections as the full album? I don't know. But whenever the full album is released, I think Oceans is going to click with me a lot more in that instance. But next to Paralyzed, Stressed Out, and Not Afraid of the Dark, Oceans is just not holding up to me. I think the other two songs are just too good for my taste.
Yeah.
For Oceans to really compare. And I'm conflicted on Stressed Out because I think like Paul's part is like kind of weak on that song, but the Conquer Divide feature carries it so hard that it makes it my third favorite song on there. I just wish that like the song that you get the Conquer Divide feature on, like give me the Chiarelli feature on Paralyzed. That it wouldn't work. But like I need a song that makes me feel the way Paralyzed does, but with the Conquer Divide feature. Because I feel like you're putting the best feature on the album on an underwhelming song. And that upsets me. Stressed Out is still good, though. It just could be better. And we haven't really shown much love to Toxic Love. But I think the delivery on Toxic Love is stupid catchy. In like the bridge between like the opening riff and the first verse. And another sick breakdown, as we mentioned, sick breakdowns and solos across this entire EP. Paul Bartolome doing good things, as per usual at this point.
For me personally, I think the Reflections Part 1 was better just because I found myself connecting with the lyrics a lot more in Part 1 than in Part 2.
That's totally fair. Are we ready to
Jake,
move on?
I was gonna say, Jake, how about you tell us about this next one?
Boys, brand new EP from Reliqa. I don't know what I am. I discovered this band. I discovered this band less than 48 hours ago. It is now October 1st, and this band became one of my top 5 most played artists of the month of September.
Okay.
If I had known about this band in August, Safety is probably a top 5 song of last month, and is probably a top 3 song of this month, or in this playlist for me. I think Safety is fucking nuts. When I said earlier, when we were talking about Time the Evaluator, that there is a specific other progressive band that I love, and I should like Time the Evaluator to a similar degree, this is the band I am referencing. Because I heard Safety, and I was blown away. And I immediately knew that this band was onto something special. And I'm the type of person that, like, I'll discover one song, and I'll just add it to my list of shit to get to eventually. But this one's different. I only lasted like 45 minutes before I'm like, nah, I gotta hear this full EP. It is not very often that a band catches me that quick and that fast, and that it actually delivers from top to bottom. This is progressive metalcore, I think. No one is sounding like Reliqa right now. It's like, I Don't Know What I Am has just like a random electronic trap beat as a breakdown halfway through the song. Who else is doing that? The closest comparison I have is Letter Sent Home, which is dark pop rock from Germany. It's like, I'm struggling to come up with words for what this band has done with this EP. All I know is that I fucking love it. And this is like, how do I want to say this? It's like, back in July when we talked about Mothka, and I'm like, this is one of those albums that's an experience that you need to hear from top to bottom. Like, even if you aren't gonna love it, it has such a, like, well-crafted atmosphere and environment and, like, structure to it. That's how I feel about this EP. I feel like, I don't know, this feels like an EP that has the depth of an album. There's so much to interpret, and I haven't even known this band for 48 hours, so I can't really pick it apart. But as I said, all I know is that I love it, and Safety is a fucking insane song. I have some lyrics I want to pull out. The pre-breakdown, where you get a shreddy section, some guitar shred, and then it just drops out into a bass-heavy section of this pre-breakdown that goes, "Oh, mother, can you hear me when I say that I'm afraid to die, but less than I'm afraid to stay? The someone I could be is fucking waiting in a shell, but if I crack, I could break, and I'd be in a worse hell." And that's all wrapped super fast into one of the craziest breakdowns I have heard in the past few months. This EP is fucking nuts. Safety is fucking nuts. I've already said it 3 times. I cannot recommend this enough because no EP has sent me on a journey this year in the way that this EP has.
You sold me. I didn't get this, but
so you saw the Make Them Suffer feature, but you never ended up listening
yeah,
to it?
I didn't listen to the whole EP. I heard the Make Them Suffer feature.
Yeah, this is like, it's like you take Spirit Box, throw an edge of Degenti progressive era with the theatrics of an Ice Nine Kills, and throw it all together into one 6-song EP. It's, no one is doing it like this band right now. No one. I will say that this EP is very heavily carried by Safety and the title track, I Don't Know What I Am. The Bearer of Bad News, Second Nature, and The Ritualist have all not fully clicked with me. I'm not mentioning Blip because it's kind of an interlude track into The Ritualist. It's an awesome track. It's almost entirely all instrumental, but these guys are so talented at shredding and playing the bass and drumming and just being they're just incredibly talented that it's one of the best instrumental interludes I've heard all year, and it goes perfectly into The Ritualist. I wish I had more to say, but again, I've only had such limited time with this EP. I only listened to it 48 hours ago for the first time, and I tried to pack in as much as I could, but there's only so much I can say in such a short amount of time. You know, it's funny, like, I've been so apathetic towards new music this month. How so much of it was just there. And this was just, like, hiding in plain sight from me all month. This EP released a few weeks ago. I heard some chatter about it in a Discord server, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to this eventually. And just, yeah, I don't know. I finally gave it a chance, and I'm like, wow, the best stuff I've heard all month was just sitting right in front of me, teasing me all month. And this is why finding new bands is so awesome, because sometimes you find hidden gems like this that make it all worth it. It makes it worth it to go through.
Like, go down the rabbit hole.
Yep, it makes it worth it to go through all those new bands that you hear people raving about, and sometimes you're just not clicking with them. Because eventually you're going to find one, like Reliqa, that's just going to blow you away. At least for me.
Hello, Derek.
Hello.
Derek?
Yes?
Reliqa, your thoughts?
Instrumentally, incredible. I love the groove across this entire EP, and I also really like the Sean feature on Safety.
Yes.
I think that I Don't Know What I Am and The Ritualist are both really, really good bookends to the EP, especially like I feel like it's not often that you get an EP that kind of has a working opener and closer. I think that these work really well. Unfortunately, I don't like the vocal delivery, and that's holding me back. And it's not even that it's like bad, it's just something about it's missing for me. It feels
it's very unique.
It's unique.
Like, as I was saying, like, this is not like anything I've heard before.
Oh no.
And I think you're either gonna like it or you might not. Yeah.
But if nothing else, the instrumentation is worth listening to, and like I said, the vocal delivery is not even bad. It's very, ethereal isn't necessarily the word, but it's mystifying almost.
Yeah,
I guess to be a way to put it.
I can see that.
And it wasn't clicking with me, unfortunately, in the same way the instrumentation was. But overall, it's really solid EP. Again, a band we didn't really know about before the past 48 hours, but having heard it, really solid EP.
That takes us to our final EP of the month. Loveless have dropped their EP, End of an Era.
Uh-oh.
Feeling like I'm way down, falling all the way down. Is it life to always wonder who you
Something covers?
Kinda. It's only two, right?
It's only two.
I think that my enjoyment of this EP is very dependent on what it signifies. If this is just meant to take all of this era of Loveless, and now that they've kind of, we'll say, exploded into relative fame, you know, they're almost at 1.7 million monthly listeners.
Holy.
That if this is meant to mark the end of that section of Loveless and we're moving forward into the next bit, so it's just a compilation of all the recent stuff and then we're moving on, I like it a lot more as an EP. I think that as a project, as a whole, I think that this really falls flat in a lot of ways. It really truly does feel just like a collection of songs. You know, I just got done saying that it isn't often that you have an EP that feels like it has a definite opener and closer. This doesn't. Everest works as a closer. Is It Me works as an opener? You could have put anything else as the opener, in my opinion. Killing Time, I think, would have been a great opener, actually. I think Sorry I'm a Downer and Killing Time are my two favorite songs here still. I still don't really like the covers. You know, I guess let me know if I'm off base here, but this just kind of came and went, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it's bad because it's all good.
It
But
it unfortunately
it's not
released on the
memorable.
night of another album.
That too. It did release on the most stacked day of the month, which doesn't do it any favors unless Loveless is your favorite band of all time.
He does have a very large fan club.
Yes.
They're very devoted fans. Some of them from Brazil.
We're the first.
Yep.
Yeah,
All these
we're
other
the
people can say what they
we're
want.
the
Derek, it's all
pioneers.
your fault.
Yep. I'll take that responsibility. I'm happy with it. Yeah, I think that what it is I get that a lot of these singles and like covers need to be dropped to get to like this level of fame, and that's where we're at with how the music industry works and the streaming services work, which is fine. It's just I liked that Loveless album last year very nearly missed my top 10, and that's still I think almost every song on that album blows all of these out of the water. And all the songs on here that I don't like love. Like I really, really like Sorry I'm a Downer and Killing Time. Like I said, those are my two favorites. Everything else is okay. It's good. I mean, it's Loveless. It's not going to be bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can.
I want to
the
make sure
bar
that's
is
very clear.
Yeah, the floor is very high for Loveless.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm kind of itching for. You know, I want a new album or I want a new EP that feels cohesive. This truly just feels like 9 Loveless songs put together.
I want to feel the same way I did when I first heard 1,000 Reasons or Haunting.
Yeah, exactly. This, and it feels like a lot of the bands that we're going to be talking about this month. Well, I say a lot, like it's not just this and the next one. But some of the singles too from bands that started off really, really strong, and I think they set the bar too high for themselves, type of thing. That I liked Loveless one too much, so when I get something like this, like I get what it's trying to do, but it feels almost like a letdown just because I like that first album so much. And if none of these songs are really meeting those same standards of the highest parts of that album, it feels like a downward trend. And I don't like to have that from one of my favorite bands, you know? So I dig it. It is what it is. I really want a full-length project or even just a cohesive EP that feels a lot better than this does.
I do want to give some credit to Isn't Me, because of all the new songs, that's by far my favorite.
It's either that or Everest for me, yeah.
Yeah, it's a stupid catchy chorus, which is kind of a Loveless guarantee.
Oh, yeah.
But Isn't Me really is the standout. Sorry I'm a Downer is my favorite song on here. I think I've just had the most time to sit with that one.
Yeah.
But of all the new ones, Isn't Me is definitely the standout for me. And the other songs are all fine. Like, a bad Loveless song is still good.
Yeah.
It's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
But I think we all definitely had our expectations maybe a little too high for End of an Era.
Yeah, when I heard there was an EP dropping, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And then I was like, oh, it's going to be 9 tracks. Hell yeah. And then it's like, oh, it's 4 that we've already heard and 2 covers. And then the 3 songs they're all right. You know, the 3 new, I don't know. Yeah, we did. I think I at least set my expectations too high. And, you know, moving forward, I know it's always good. It's a Loveless guarantee. We're going to get something good. I just want something that feels a little bit more cohesive than this did.
On to the albums. We got 5 albums to talk about this month.
Yes. The first being Until I Wake, who have dropped their debut album, Inside My Head.
Can I get my bad thoughts out of the way?
Okay.
Yes, Justin.
And
You can vent here. This is a safe space.
Is it though? I feel like Derek can cut me.
No,
The
I'm
kind
not
of
gonna
person
cut
that
you.
You're
can
right.
cut me.
It's not a safe space.
No, I'm not going to cut you because I think we're going to have the same issues. Well, we're going to have issues with it. Maybe not the same ones, but anyway.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I really like the EP from however long ago that was.
Why
Last
is that
year.
unfortunate?
Was it? Oh, it was last year.
Yeah.
I really liked Self-Medicated and Less of Me. Those are the 2 songs that I have now attributed to this band.
Mhm.
So when I hear them go heavy to the point where I don't like it, and it's kind of a disappointment. I did like Hope You're Happy, and I think Still Sinking. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I had
Those are good
these
picks.
notes. Yeah, I had these notes, but I can't quite remember. Everything else just metalcore blends too much into itself.
I
Okay.
think we are all mostly in agreement that we would prefer them to lean more into post-hardcore than metalcore.
Oh, no.
Kinda.
All right then.
I'll give you a 0.5.
Yeah.
Jacob, you seem excited.
I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would.
I enjoyed it a lot less than I thought I would. Which, I'm kind of in the same boat as Justin, but in a different way. That I think that EP is perfect from last year. If it weren't for Convictions, I think that would have been my favorite EP of last year. And I think, much like I was just talking about Loveless, I think this band started off too strong. That it's the I Prevail effect, where a band starts off as making really good, like, metalcore with some post-hardcore leanings, and I'm like, shit, I want more of this. And then they drop their next release, where they keep some of those same basic things, but then they try and experiment, and in some ways it works for me, and in some ways it doesn't. I like kind of the electronic sort of direction they took, especially with Octane. I want to say Marching Forward, and then there are songs like Blue Beam and Legacy, which I know Blue Beam especially feels like a Motionless in White song.
Yes.
Yeah,
Almost.
it's comparing that to Meltdown, the opener from the Motionless in White album. It's like scarily similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Cyberhex too, I would say. My problem is that I don't like Motionless in White. So
Well, there's
I-
your issue.
yeah, exactly.
Is that really an issue?
I think that this is the debut EP, despite having different kind of tones in different places, it worked really well. I think this has songs like Forsaken and Fake that incorporate uncleans that are not even deathcore, but more reminiscent of that, like, late 2000s, early 2010s crabcore era. Like, it's very attack like.
I was gonna say it does remind me of like Deathcore Highs to me.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the
And-
fact that the cleans and uncleans are coming from the same dude is, like, really impressive to me.
And I want to mention, I think I enjoy the uncleans more when they lean into those like deathcore high kind of sounds.
I'm the
Maybe
exact
that's a hot
opposite.
take. Yeah.
I'm the opposite, because I think that, like, out of all the, like, I guess maybe I think that's why Forsaken and Fake were my two least favorite singles. Just, like, it's not even that I don't like that style of Highs, it's just I like the songs where he does more kind of quote unquote regular uncleans to contrast the cleans better. Am I alone in not understanding the sacrifice?
I
don't-
wanted to mention
don't
that
get it.
too. It doesn't make sense, but I'd like it.
Yeah, it's just I at least to the best of my understanding, the rest of the album is about, like, overcoming mental hardships and, like, dealing with relationships that
Yep.
ended and finding your self-worth in it and being like, you know what, no, it's not my fault, it's yours, fuck you type of thing, which I think is Hope You're Happy and Fake are probably the two biggest examples of that. And then there's a couple songs here like Blue Beam that they just feel like metalcore, regular metalcore. I don't feel like there's a lot to unpack there, at least on my end. But the Sacrifice set it up like we were getting some concept album about,
I
like,
know.
alien invasion and enslavement. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, it's cool, it's thematic, but I don't understand
It doesn't-
why
I don't
it's
feel like
there.
they didn't fully follow through with it. It feels like.
No. And that's really what ultimately my take on this album is, that there's a lot of solid material here. I still love Octane, Hope You're Happy, Inside My Head. Undeserving, for the record, is probably my favorite non-single.
Yeah, dude,
And-
that I'm Seeing Red breakdown is insane.
Yeah. There's so much good on here for me. It just at times feels a little disjointed with itself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, a lot of playlistable songs here. As an album, I'm not feeling
Yeah.
it in the same
not-
way. I was
it's
feeling
not a
that
full
EP.
package.
That's
Yeah.
totally that's that's a really good.
It
way
feels
put
weird to say, but it feels like they found themselves on the debut EP, and then they lost themselves.
It feels
and they need
backwards.
to- yeah. So hopefully the sophomore album, they rediscover the side of themselves that we enjoyed more.
If they made Octane 12 times, it would be album of the year.
Well,
At least for me.
I think I do enjoy this more than that EP. And
Hmm.
it's like you said, it's not like because it's like it's not very coherent as an album, but
Mhm.
like the individual songs I really enjoy more than the individual songs on the EP.
I think they kind of trade blows for me. I think there's really strong songs on the EP and then a couple that fall flat. There's some really strong songs here, but I think there's more that fall flat here. Other than just in general, some of the songs falling flat, my biggest problem is that Forsaken is not a good opening track. Starting
I
off
think
the
it's
album,
brilliant.
starting off the album with a brutal beatdown, I did not like that. And then Marching Forward being the heaviest, Marching Forward practically being a deathcore song, really let me down. I wanted something anthemic for that closer, especially for a song like Marching Forward. I was wanting something anthemic, because for the record, it leaned into that anthemic. Legacy leaned into that more anthemic sound, and then you just go back to brutal deathcore almost, which is just not my
Kind
thing.
of like a Make Them Suffer marching forward.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that song, so I wouldn't know. But I found myself very disappointed in the opener and closer of this album, when otherwise there's a couple of misses throughout, but generally I think the songs are really solid. Bluebeam, for the record, Still Sinking, Hope You're Happy, my favorite song on here. Reasons and Undeserving, I'm not loving. But really, it's the opener and closer that are doing the most damage for me here.
Interesting. See, I'm at like I haven't saved a single song from this album, but I need to go through and like pick out the songs I like because
Mm.
I do really enjoy what I hear. Just not all of it.
Yeah. I think that I want to compare this band to Versus Me almost, in the sense that they're uncovering the sound with the electronic elements in some of these songs, that if they could just stick to that same kind of bass line as the debut EP and then incorporate the best parts of this album into it and like the different styles, I think that they've got really something special here. And I think this band is set to be like one of the next big things in metalcore. I mean, they're already at 360,000 monthly listeners after a debut
wow.
EP and a debut album. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were that big.
They put on a really good live show. He sounds identical live. Still
I'm so mad I missed that.
probably top 3, maybe top 2, at least personally, live show I've ever been to, just in terms of like connection and the vibe and where I was and what I got to do. And yeah, I mean, this is a really, really cool band full of great people who are all really talented. It's just unfortunately the way that those things are coming together for me on some of the tracks in this album leave me kind of questioning it or wanting more, especially when I was so high on the debut
Wanting
EP.
more is definitely how I feel.
Yeah. So definitely worth the listen. A lot to enjoy here. Definitely check out the debut EP if you haven't. Be on the lookout for this band, because I think in an album cycle or two, they're going to be moving up the bill slot very quickly.
I could see them competing with like a Wage War.
Yeah, these guys opening for Wage War, I don't know, competing necessarily in the same level, but they could be direct support under, and I wouldn't even be mad. I think another album or two, and they'll be there.
I can totally see it. Totally.
Let's now talk about one of the greatest albums of all time.
I'm gonna go back to taking a nap. You guys have fun.
Jacob, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. The Devil Wears Prada have released their newest album, Color Decay.
Wow.
See, I feel like I don't want Jake to go away because we need to explain to him why this album is so good.
That's what I'm saying.
bed. It's too late.
He's gone. My man's gone.
In
I
the
actually-
distance, we
Justin,
hear him.
you said you listened to this, right?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
Did you have any that you enjoyed?
Salt.
I'll take
That's
one.
it.
That was the song I feel like we were all in agreement.
Yep.
For the
Yeah.
single.
It was the one single that we were all
It
in
was
agreement
the
for.
one. I believe in Salt's supremacy.
Jake, you actually saved a couple, right?
Yeah, 4 out of 12, I think.
It's what? Salt, Noise, Broken, Exhibition?
No, it's Exhibition, Salt, Broken, and Fire.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So basically, the 3 softest songs and the opener.
Huh.
But I will say, there are some other
Mhm.
redeemable aspects. I think the chorus and Watchtower is still really good. Having gotten to hear that one live when I saw them opening for Beartooth earlier this year, definitely has it kind of stuck in my head to a bit more of an extent. And I remember liking parts of Noise, just not the unclean parts, which is where most of my faults come with for this album. To
Yeah.
probably no one's surprise that I don't particularly like the uncleans here. As much as this is one of my least favorite albums I've heard this year, because it's just
Wow.
sonically, it's just sonically,
Oh
I'm just
my.
not liking. I'm not
Yeah.
liking the vocals very much. I came out of this enjoying it more than I expected to. Very contrasting statement I just said, but it's true.
So I also
We're-
came out of this
we're gonna-
enjoying it more than I expected to.
Yes, me too. Me too.
So Jake mentioned Noise real quick. Noise is the best song in this album, right?
Sonically. Yes.
Sonically, yes. Objectively, Cancer 25.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I have 25, but Cancer is a close second.
Yeah. So all that to say that the lyricism on this album is flawless. I have listened to this less than Jacob. I would say I've probably given it a full run through 15, 16 times. I have yet to find a single fault. Not one.
Yeah, there really isn't.
There's just nothing. I think that this year in particular, in terms of their respective genres, we have had a lot of defining scene albums that I think are going
Yeah.
to move the scene forward.
Yeah.
I think this, Bad Omens, I think Stand Atlantic for pop punk, North Lane comes to mind. It feels like that this year, scene music in general is going through like a renaissance almost, where we're getting a lot of really strong, really defining albums that are going to mark the next 10 years of how things sound. I had a revelation, Jacob, the other day, like
Yeah.
literally maybe 2-3 days ago, about why I like this so much. And it's because I full disclosure, I do not have a single other Prada song saved besides all 12 on this album,
What about
except
Sour
for
Breath?
one. That's the one that I was going to mention. And it's because I was listening to it and I'm like, the lyricism here works so well with the uncleans that
Yes.
I wish every Prada
You're, like,
song
reading
sounded
my
like
notes.
this. And so this album is effectively how their sound from Sour Breath expanded into an album and then executed flawlessly.
I think you got elements of it on the act as well, but
Yeah.
it didn't come with the lyricism
Right.
and the
Right.
sadness.
Mm-hmm. This leans more into. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've listened to a lot of Prada projects, but you're much more familiar with the band than me. That this album leans way more into the cleans than I feel like any of their previous
Yeah.
albums have,
Yeah.
and it lets the way that the uncleans come across so emotionally with the lyricism.
Yes.
It bolsters them to come across even better. This album, instrumentally, vocally, lyrically, it's just like this 1, 2, 3 gut punch of impact in a way that I feel like a lot of other albums this year have succeeded maybe as strongly vocally or as strongly instrumentally. Maybe not quite as strong lyrically. I think that lyrically this is the best album I've heard this year. But that no other album really has all of that together.
Yeah.
And this album, it just feels like a 10 out of 10 across the board, which is, I can't remember the last time that I heard an album
No,
like this.
I don't think I have either. Like, this is, like you said, I think with the balance of vocals, the Unclean's vocalist sounds a lot more like desperate almost, like, and I think that in combination with the lyricism is what makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 25 is probably the best example of that.
Yeah.
I never don't get goosebumps when I hear that, man, bro, shit. But like hearing that first verse and the way that the way that it just sounds so raw when he says 25, it's chilling. I mean, this is an album that I feel like you can appreciate objectively, but the more shit that you've been through, the better this album becomes.
and also like each song is like has like a different reason to be like sad. Like you could go to like pick like there's a song for like anxiety, there's a song for like relationships, there's a song for
Which
loneliness.
one's the anxiety one? I need to re-listen to it.
I would say Noise.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to re-listen to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And even like the death of a friend or loved one, which we talked about, is Cancer. Each song is so individual, but it all flows together like so well in the context of the album.
I don't ever feel like I'm listening to the album's runtime when I hear it. And it's not even like the runtime is long, but I go from song to song and I get to Cancer and I'm like, wait, it's over already? Yeah. Because I was just so engrossed in it every single time I listened.
On the contrary, just gonna pop in real quick. While I listened to this album, I had a lot of enjoyment loving my cat who was taking a nap on my bed. And I got a lot more enjoyment out of playing with my cat than listening to the middle of this album.
Man.
Okay, come on, man.
What a good
another
cat,
thing
though.
I wanted to say
It was a good cat.
is the singles, I feel like, did not paint what this album would be like at all.
No.
And I honestly love it for that. Like, we got a glimpse of it with Salt, but you kind of like think it's like a one-off kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the album, and all of a sudden the album artwork makes total sense.
Oh yeah.
And actually, like, it was a really pleasant surprise that the singles didn't represent the album.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sacrifice, even I wasn't super high on it as a single. In the context of the album, forget about it. Like
even like the single sonically, like I mentioned, you mentioned Sacrifice, Sacrifice, Watchtower, and even Time to an extent. Yeah. All I was like, this is. But then you hear it in the album, and you listen to the lyrics, and it's like, wow, this all makes sense.
Nothing, I feel like, you mentioned with that there's different lyric themes, but that it all comes together no matter, what the theme is. It comes together a cohesive album. And I feel like I just want to kind of call back to how we just talked about Until I Wake, that it dealt with different things, but I feel like with Until I Wake, you could have switched any of those songs around for the most part into a different like track listing, and it would have been fine. I don't think you could rearrange a single song on here. I think it just works perfectly as it, especially the way that the vocals kind of trade off on the last four, where you have something as raw and Unclean's focus as 25, followed by the mellow kind of renewing fire, where it's cleans into uncleans and hallucinate into
Yeah.
mostly cleans and cancer.
I love that. Like, I think Fire is the softest song on the album, and then it goes
Yeah.
straight into Hallucinate, which is the
Yeah.
heaviest song on the album.
And to me, that represents the two polar, I don't want to say opposites, but the two sides of the feelings of this album,
Yes.
that the cleans and uncleans can mean two different things at any given point, but they can also work in tandem to create just like the greatest thing you've ever heard. Noise. God, I want to give a special shout out to Exhibition too, because I think that breakdown, with the mid breakdown call out of Step Back,
Yeah.
is like my favorite mid breakdown call out I've ever heard. There is nothing that gets me more hyped than hearing that Step Back in the middle of it. I love it.
For me, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that I think too, Exhibition, Concrete Jungle, and Dream State by Dayseeker all exist in the same state of existence for me, in the sense that they all have this same kind of breakdown that feels like it's chugging along rather than a drop, if that
Yes.
makes sense. And I think that that's probably one of my favorite trends of the album openers that it's like to come out of this year, and that music evolution.
Exhibition is probably my second favorite song on here, and I wish I had more to say about it. But even it being my second favorite song, I don't have much to add. And again, I think that's more a testament to how much you guys have fell in love with this album. And just that there's so much you guys have already said that there's not much that someone like me can add at this point.
I think sonically, my favorite moment on the album is in Noise, where that's like the breakdown. It's like, I can't sleep, the sky is falling, rest in
Yes.
peace, the noise is calling. And then after that cycle, they repeat it a bunch of times, it goes straight into the chorus.
Yes. Yeah, Noise in general just has so many of my favorite moments on here. I think it's got my favorite chorus, especially the second half of the chorus. It goes, "We never even know what we could have been." You know, when he kind of raises that note just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to point out like lyrical moments from this album, but there's way too many.
Well, I've got
You know?
I've got 25, and I think I gotta this is the song I want to dive into a little bit lyrically,
go
just for the
for it.
review. Where the way I interpret it personally is like, it's like a broken relationship, and one party's leaving the other, and the perspective is of the song is of the person who was left alone, and they're dwelling on hoping for this person to come back. And it's a battle with those like mixed feelings of like letting go and clinging on to hope, and then eventually letting that person go and accepting it's over, but not regretting the time you spent with them, because like it taught you a valuable lesson, or and it's, I don't know if it's like, it's a really complex feeling that I'm trying to describe.
No,
but
it makes sense, and it's go. Sorry.
And yeah, I feel like I'm not doing it a justice, but I think the way that Prada does it is like so masterfully done, and it resonates so well with me.
I think you and I interpreted 25 in distinctly opposite ways.
Well, yeah. How'd you interpret it then?
But I interpret it from the perspective of the person who got left, rather than the person who did the leaving.
No, I interpreted the person who got left.
Okay, I'm with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think the line for me there, we already mentioned the first verse, but the agony on "By April the snow was melting." Oh, wow. This whole album is one big wow.
Do that like with I can't remember what the lyric was, but something about like in October. In the last track of the act, I think it's Spiderhead. They mention October. It's like Prada really likes to mention months of the year, don't they?
Well, and I think that allows, because it's almost like a catch-all, right? And I feel the same way about a Garden song called "Inside." That's kind of like my go-to whenever I'm feeling depressed or anxious. That it mentions November. And it's kind of like, well, if something didn't happen for you regarding the relationship in that month, you can still relate to the sentiment of the song. But by
Yeah.
giving somebody a specific month, you open yourself up to this whole wide group of listeners that could say, oh shit, I remember this happened to me in October, or I felt the relationship
yeah.
falling apart in April. And then you connect to it on a whole new level,
Well-
just opens up this whole new
well,
world.
For me, it did happen in April, so
Oh,
it's kind of like
yeah. I could be here for hours.
I could, I could as well.
I don't want to be for the sake of runtime, but we're gonna be talking about this again
Well, yeah.
by the end of the year, and I truly think that this is. I mean, we're only 2 years into the decade, but this is easily gonna be one of the greatest, most defining albums to come out of the scene this decade, and has easily worked its way into my top 10 favorite albums of all time.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
for
truly
sure.
a perfectly, flawlessly executed album that's really unlike anything else I've heard this year.
I know we wanted to end, but I think we have to talk about Cancer.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good note to end it on. The close of the album, the close of the discussion. God, I don't want to fuck it up, so let me pull the exact thing. I hope that it's Cancer and not something else, because I don't need any more things I don't want to talk about. That at this point you're so sick of having to think about all the things that have gone wrong or that are wrong with you. And at this point, you're just hoping that it's Cancer, so it'll kill you, so you don't have to deal with the agony of living through all those things anymore. Like, just such
We
a.
interpreted it different ways.
Well, how did you interpret it?
Well, I read what the song was about, so I kind of cheated, but
Oh. So you're telling me I'm wrong?
well, no, because it's all subjective.
Just fucking with you. Yeah.
It's like a story about a hero of the keyboardist. He wrote the song. The keyboardist wrote the song, and he died of an illness. And they don't know how he died. And basically, the keyboardist is hoping that he didn't die. He died of natural causes rather than he killed himself or something like that, because he struggled with mental illness. And so the whole song is about like hoping that they died of natural causes rather than mental illness.
I remember reading that lyric of I hope it's Cancer, and as someone that has only listened to this album through once, because as I said, not really my thing.
It requires context.
Yeah.
It really does.
My rough interpretation of just reading that line by itself, my assumption was that like I hope it's Cancer, in the sense of like I hope that you died to something that I know rather than the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if someone dies from cancer, that's like something that's a lot more normal. Whereas like if someone passes away and you don't really know why, like you're kind of wondering, maybe I wish it was just cancer so I knew how they went.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's accurate at all. That's just my
Yeah,
very
it's pretty
outside
close. Yeah.
interpretation.
For what the album is meant to me, and I think that's really influenced the way that I hear Cancer, but I think that because of what it means to me, my interpretation of it makes the song all the more impactful for me when it's already like everything leading up to it and then getting to that. I mean, it's an impactful enough and emotional enough song as it is. When you listen to the 11 tracks before it and you finally get to it, it's just the most raw, cathartic, emotional experience. This album is an experience, truly. Yeah. I mean, I hear some of these songs in my playlist and I'm like, okay, they're good, but then I hear them in the album and it's just cold fuck.
Yeah.
Or
it's definitely an album.
You listen to 11 songs and you get to track 12 and you're numb to everything you're hearing.
Or you mean tapped out at track 3.
Man.
Damn. You're doing yourself a disservice.
And that raw emotional outro.
Yeah. Yeah, just this album's a fucking masterpiece. I think I just talked myself into making it my album of the year.
Should we talk about these last few albums then?
Yeah, let's switch vibes entirely.
Gears. Yeah, we've talked about this for probably like half an hour almost.
Yeah.
So
Electric Callboy have dropped their album Techno. Choo choo motherfuckers, no more sad times.
I think that's a quote from the breakdown of Techno Train.
Yes, kind of. Choo 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 choo.
Yup.
This is a fun album. It's just fun.
it is.
This
I don't
album,
remember much of it, but it's fun.
it might have the least substance of any album I've heard all year.
But it's good dance music.
It is the
Yeah.
it is the least substantial, most fun album you will hear all year.
Isn't there? I don't have it written down, but there's some like "You Make My Spaghetti Ready" or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was in Techno Train.
I think so. Yeah.
Techno Train is probably the horniest song on here, which is saying a lot.
You want to hear
Yeah.
my stupid interpretation of Hurricane?
Sure.
It's if Lorna Shore covered the Wii Sports theme.
Wait.
What the?
Wait.
You know, somehow it makes no sense, but you're completely right.
All right, so listen to the first like 30 seconds of that song before the outro. Wii Sports.
I'm so
Yeah?
glad we're reviewing this after Prada. This is like
yeah.
gold, dude.
Dude, I had never looked at the lyrics to Hurricane.
Yeah, me
I'm
either, I
pretty
don't care.
sure it's about necrophilia.
It's in German.
Half
in
of it
Ger-
is. The other half is like, she's dead, she's horny, kill me baby, I wanna fuck. Is I think like a direct quote.
All right.
Okay,
moving
but
on.
sonically though, you get the Wii Sports menu theme covered by Lorna Shore. Yeah?
Yeah,
I don't hear the Lorna Shore, but
she's
Deathcore!
hungry.
Deathcore!
Let me read you these Hurricane lyrics. She's hungry, she's horny, she's longing for flesh. Oh honey, I'm ready to die. You feast on my blood, my bones, my guts.
sounds like a zombie.
Yeah, choke, she's the love of my life. I cannot resist. Eat me alive. Your necrotic face is the one that I like. You're my rotten queen. Your hands in my heart. Marry me. Like,
I think
Oh,
the Lorna
it's-
Shore comparison's pretty accurate.
no. What it is you hear the heavy and you're like, damn, this is too heavy for me, Lorna Shore.
Yeah, that's it.
Dude, there
I get
there
like
is
Brand of
like
Sacrifice vibes.
yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 deathcore bands that exist.
There's only
And
two
those are
deathcore
Lorna Shore,
genres that
Chel-
work.
Chelsea
and it's
Grin,
Chelsea
Lorna
Grin and
Shore.
Lorna Shore. Yeah, that's it.
Honestly, for me, those are my two favorites. So
That's a lot of disrespect to Necrogoblicon Flesh Mask and
actually,
Urethral Deathmark. So
it's very disrespectful to Whitechapel, who made a very good album.
True.
In the Valley. So
There's like so much and so little to unpack here that I almost have nothing to say.
Do you want to know my favorite part of this
That's-
album?
that's
Yeah,
That's a very good way to cover it. But my favorite part of this album comes from one of my least favorite songs in Spaceman.
okay.
That electronic breakdown gives me
Yeah.
life. That is the best part of this album. I transcend, I get chills, and then I completely touch out as soon as Finch starts rapping again.
You know, Pump It really grew on me.
Yeah.
Pump It's my favorite song on the album.
We Got the Moves is still mine.
Fuck Boy's mine. I think the first 4 tracks are the best, easily. The singles.
All the singles.
Yeah. And the rest, they're fun, and I'm listening to it, and I'm vibing, and I'm like, shit, I have really no urge to ever come back to this ever again.
Arrow of Love grew on me as soon as I saw the music video for it.
I'm gonna shoot you in the face with my arrow of love.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Electric Callboy is kind of like a singles band. Kind of in the same way that like Bring Me
Yeah.
the Horizon are just doing singles. Or that Falling in Reverse are really focusing on like the single hype. I don't think I would be mad if Electric Callboy just did that.
Yeah,
Just,
but I
like,
don't
have-
think...
I
Have
think it
one
works
new
too
song
with their,
from them.
with their like style, like a party
Yeah.
band. It does
Yeah.
work with them.
Just to like drop one new song every 3 to 4 months, I almost feel like that works better than dropping a full album like this. Because if you can sensationalize it even more than with a full album.
I agree.
You can
Yeah.
get sillier, and that's the highlight of this band, is how stupid and silly they make it.
Well,
But
I
it's
think
still
counterpoint to that is that any of these songs could have really been singles in the same
Yeah.
way that the first four were, and it just
Yep.
feels like it's 10 singles. Which, you know what? Fuck it. It's 30 minutes in and out. It's a good time. Conquer Divide coming in again for like arguably feature of the year. Yeah, the problem is that all the songs are equally entertaining and silly, and we could sit here and talk about how stupid all the lyrics are, but we'd be here for about just as long as we were with Prada, because there's just so many.
It's like the opposite.
It is. It's a polar opposite of Prada, where there's a lot to unpack, but it's because it's like you're listening to it and you're going, "What the fuck?" But it's like, "What the fuck?" and you're like heads banging and you're like pumping your head back and
It's a
forth. You're like,
confused
"Oh, yeah."
what the fuck. It's a confused what the fuck instead of a depressed what the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another album I think this month that I'm gonna recommend you listen to just because it's half an hour of your time and it's gonna be some of the most fun you'll have all year. Hop on the techno train.
Dude, choo.
I want to go to like a club where they play like metalcore.
Yeah, I think that's just an electric cowboy concert.
Yeah.
Because remember that was supposed to be them, Conquer Divide, Attack, and
Yeah.
Across the White Water Tower, which is just a bunch of electronic core plus Conquer Divide. That would have been a damn good concert. I'm sad that tour had to get dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, Electric Callboy.
They
Techno.
certainly released an album in the year
They
2022.
released an album, and I'm glad they did. I don't know if I'll ever be going back to it, but by God, they put out some really fun songs.
Yeah. You're making me question the order that I added these albums to the playlist, because I feel like there would have been a better...
I think it's so good.
It
I think
works.
It's
so
fantastic.
good.
But alternatively, that Prada album was a sucker punch to the gut.
Haha.
You get it?
I get it. Hit me with it, Jake.
Maggie Lindemann dropped her debut album, Sucker Punch.
What you wanted from me made you pay. Should've left when you knew you were lying it. You know I'm good at keeping secrets. You know that you're my weakness, and I'll always repeat.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah. So this caught me off guard. I didn't realize this was releasing this month. And it ended up being my favorite album of the month. Almost uncontested.
Wow.
I really liked it. I mean, as someone that has raved about Mothica and Demi Lovato for the past 2 months, I almost feel like this shouldn't come as a surprise.
Yeah, true.
This is more of the same that those two albums have delivered on, except this is the angstiest version of that archetype of pop rock. You get songs like Casualty of Your Dreams, She Knows It, I'm So Lonely With You, Break Me, my favorite song on the album, which we talked about a few months ago, Novocaine. There's a lot of angst to this album that I really enjoyed. And also lyrically, there's a lot of lyrics that you can grab onto pretty easily. In Casualty of Your Dreams, there's no need for apologies because honestly, fuck your honesty, I'm done. I really liked that lyric. And then in probably I'd say my top three are Break Me, Casualty of Your Dreams, and Self-Sabotage, which has a really awesome chorus. The melody of Self-Sabotage in the chorus is insane. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know I'm gonna fuck it up with you and me. Shit's never going my way. Now I'm drowning in blame. You could call it self-sabotage. There's a lot of depth to this album. It's like kind of surface level depth, which is a weird oxymoron, kind of, but it makes sense and it works. And by the end of the album, you feel like you've gone through something. Probably not to the same extent that Prada made you guys feel, but to me, this is really accessible and it's fitting in perfectly with like the pop punk nostalgia that's been going on. But this is like an angstier version of it all that I really enjoyed. The only song I didn't particularly care for comes right in the middle with We Never Even Dated. It's just an acoustic song, and it's pretty well known at this point that those types of just acoustic songs that don't really build to anything don't do much for me. But overall, I think there's a lot to like about this album, and it's very accessible. And I mean, we talked about Demi Lovato and Black Bear last month as well. I think you guys like the Black Bear album a decent amount. I think you guys would probably latch onto this album in a similar extent. Just there's a lot to like here. I don't have a ton to say about it other than that I just really enjoyed it from top to bottom.
I didn't get around to this, but I did get around to parts of it, from what I've heard, it is something I'm gonna check out.
Nice. I like to hear it. Derek,
I
do you
will
have
be
any
checking
brief
this out.
thoughts?
I will be checking this out. I wanted to, and I'm sad because I got to everything else and I didn't get to this. So, but I will be. And when I do, you will be the first to know.
Great. Before we wrap up, if there is one thing that is holding this album back, it's the end of the album. And not specifically the closer, it's the last 3 songs. Hear Me Out is fine, but How Could You Do This to Me and Cages fall kind of flat. Cages has grown on me a little bit. It's a very anthemic closer. But again, it's just not holding up to the strength that this album opened with. And Take Me Nowhere, Casualty of Your Dreams, Self-Sabotage, I'm So Lonely With You, Break Me. That first half of the album is so fucking strong. And the back half just doesn't hold up to me, which is unfortunate. But again, it's a debut album. And Maggie Lindemann's been making music for a while now. I definitely have some back catalog to check out as well. But this was a solid debut album that I really enjoyed and pleasantly surprised to be saying this is my favorite album of the month.
He said the line. He said it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I certainly did. Let's move on to our final album. Novelists FR have dropped their new album, Deja Vu. Where to begin with this one?
It's fine.
That's one way to start. Yeah.
I really don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say it.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been an EP.
No.
I can see it. I don't know if I necessarily agree. Would this have been one of the best EPs I've heard all year if it was an EP? Hell fucking yes.
Yeah.
But I still think it makes sense to be an album. I think the interlude gimmick almost works. There's just too much of it. I think if you take out 2 of the interludes, you leave 3 of the interludes in here, just remove 2 of them, I'd say you probably get rid of I would get rid of Air and probably Colas. I don't remember the interludes super well, but I remember liking Bias and I remember liking May. Take out 1 of the other 3 interludes and I think this album works a lot better. The interludes they take you out of the experience a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's only because there's too much of it. Because going from Smoke Signals into May into Heretic, I liked that. That worked for me. But because it's every other song, it's like it becomes so predictable that you know what's going to happen, that it's like, okay, I just finished the song. Now I get to wait 2 minutes. Whereas with other interludes on other albums, there's almost an element of randomness to it that makes them work better. Whereas in this, the predictability of the interludes and when they're going to happen and roughly how they're going to sound as an interlude definitely kind of takes me out of the experience. I don't know if all of the criticism, I think it's warranted, but I feel like it's being overblown. That's kind of where my stance is.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. And I think that actually, to be quite honest, if this album only had, it's Smoke Signals, Heretic, Made by Design, The Answer, Terrorist, so that's like seven songs and the rest are interludes. Honestly, I'll be really I think that's fine for an album. I think that the idea of this album is fine. I would take an album with 7 real songs and interludes like this any day of the week.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
My problem is this is one of 2 albums, and they might be doing this again.
You know what? If they do it again, it's fine. I really enjoyed this. I think that it could have been executed a little better in the sense that some of the interludes, if they're not going to transition seamlessly from song to song, then they should set up the vibe of the next one maybe a little bit better. And I
I'm
think
thinking,
that
I'm thinking like a what it cost into like a villain type thing.
kinda,
Or
yeah.
Ember's Glow into Color
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah, but I mean, those feel like a one-off, and ultimately, like the album's trying to create an. I think that's the purpose of instrumental interludes like that. Because honestly, I think this band is more talented, way more talented instrumentally than vocally, and so when they go in and they show off what they can do instrumentally or what they can do with production, like that's fine. I really like it, and I think that if the interludes work together between track to track, or they set up the next song after it, which they succeeded at some points, I think sometimes they didn't, that this idea of a 12-track album with 7 songs and 5 interludes is fine. And I don't mean fine like it's okay. I mean like it's fine, like it's acceptable, and I'm completely down for it. I just don't know if the execution is all there, but at the same time, I really enjoyed this for what it is, and I would be completely down to listen to all 12 tracks on repeat, because the 7 songs, including the 2 new ones, are all good. And the interludes are all good, and even if they aren't perfectly bringing everything together in the way that, like a top 10 or album of the year contender would, they still work enough, and I really don't understand why people are so mad about it. I don't. I think honestly, if somebody's mad at this, I'm just going to assume that they can't appreciate music. I'm just going to be super real and upfront. It's like the same people who are mad at Bad Omens. Like,
what I'm going to say is I appreciate them for taking a risk, but yeah, like you said, the execution definitely
it could have been better.
Yeah.
needs work.
But there are people on r/metalcore that are up in arms about this, right? Like they're fucking angry.
Yeah.
Like, where am I? Yeah, whatever. Just say you want verse chorus breakdown and go for like 12 tracks. Like I want more bands to take risks like this, because even if it didn't come across perfectly, maybe in the way that they wanted it to, I still think it was pretty successful, and I love the idea of it, and I want more bands to take risks like this. People were mad at Bad Omens because they went soft. Like I get mad when people get mad at bands for experimenting.
For me personally, I think like I listen to music because I connect with the lyrics a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably where this bugs me a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like one of my most, and I think it was my most anticipated September album when like at the start of September or whatever. And I think it was you who told me, Derek, that it's 5 instrumentals. It's just like, oh,
yeah,
that's a little bit of a letdown for me.
Well,
so.
I think something that'll be interesting is how the second album sounds.
Yes,
and
that is what
I think that's going to shape a lot of opinions.
Yes,
because the other thing then is if there's another 12-track album and it's the same kind of 7/5 split or similar, if you take maybe 2 interludes and the best songs off of both, or even just all the songs, like the regular songs off of both, and put them together and you get a phenomenal album, it's like, okay, well, why couldn't you have done it in the first place? Type of thing, So I really think that it depends on how they execute the second album.
We're not seeing the full picture
one.
yet, and I feel like once we do, we'll have a better idea on what were they really trying to do here.
But yeah. like we had like the highest praise for I think every single here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we should highlight the new songs in Made by Design and The Answer, because we've been talking very, very broadly about just like the whole structure. Made by Design and The Answer are both really good songs. I think particularly Made by Design.
Yeah.
I think Made by Design was my favorite on the album.
Interesting.
Including the singles.
I think mine is probably still Terrorist. That bluesy solo is way too good to ignore.
It's such a hard decision, actually.
It is, because the 7 songs that aren't interludes are all fucking phenomenal.
I'm going to go with Heretic just because of the feature.
It's between Heretic and Terrorist for me. I've flip-flopped multiple times.
I would say so, yeah. Probably same for me. I mean, overall, Novelists are doing a really good thing here. The songs that are regular songs on here are fucking phenomenal. And I like instrumentally the interludes. I don't think that the concept was executed as successfully as maybe they hoped or as other people would have hoped, but I still think that it's a great idea, and I'm happy that, if nothing else, we got a band that's trying something like this. You know, like we were talking about with Prada and everything, there are a couple scene-defining albums that are coming out and pushing the genres forward. And I think that this is not on that same level, obviously, but another idea that can kind of work to serve that same function to say, okay, well, what if we tried this? You know, rather than doing the same old, same old.
I can safely say this is my favorite Novelist album.
I'd say so too. Yeah. Even with the interludes, I enjoyed them a lot.
I agree. This is also the only one I've heard.
Oh.
I always have to discredit myself somehow. I think that's a wrap, though.
It is.
That is. I never want to record at 2 p.m. again. On one hand, I like having the rest of my evening. On the other hand, I wanted a coffee before we did this. And I should have got a coffee. I did myself a disservice.
You can get your coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am really stoked for October, though.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, September was bottom 2 month of the year for me in terms of new music. It's with April as just very underwhelming across the board. I think album-wise, this month was significantly stronger, but single-wise, this month was significantly weaker than April. But October, though, looking forward, though.
Yeah.
I think next month is going to be crazy.
October for albums is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to October musically, review-wise. Maybe not as much.
Might need multiple coffees.
Yeah, exactly. Shit.
Few hundred
coffees.
I think that's just about do it. Any other last comments you guys want to throw out before we wrap up tonight?
No, nothing that comes to mind. God knows we've said a lot.
God knows those two won't shut up.
True. Well, shout out to all y'all who listen to us ramble about music for hours on end every month. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on socials, subscribe to our YouTube channel, help us get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year, because that'd be awesome. And we'll be back with our October recap next month. Thank you for listening. Have a good one.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.